At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Add the Titans to the list of NFL head coaching vacancies. After 6 seasons, they fired Mike Vrabel. The 2021 NFL Coach of the Year led the team to 4 straight winning seasons after arriving in 2018, but Tennessee is coming off back-to-back losing seasons, went just 1-5 in the AFC South this past season. Owner Amy Adams Strunk made it clear in her statement the move went deeper than that. ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano.
Vrabel and the first-year GM Rand Carthon were not aligned, and she wanted to make sure that the head coach and the GM were. Now, you and I could sit here and say, boy, it sure feels odd to pick a first-year GM over a guy that's been as successful as Vrabel has the head coach, but that seems to be what has happened here.
Dan Graziano on Carlin versus Joe. The Steelers ruled out star outside linebacker TJ Watt for Sunday's wild card game against the Bills with a knee injury. Mason Rudolph starts at quarterback, a 4th straight game. Chargers interviewing offensive coordinator Kellen Moore for their head coaching job. Just finished his first year as LA's OC. NHL Devils leading scorer Jack Hughes expected to miss weeks with an upper body injury.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, I'll tell you which wild card matchup I'm looking forward to the most and why you should too. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Talking to your dad in a few minutes anyway. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Humble. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. The aforementioned Larry Holder at the bottom of this hour to see if that chump is going to pay up. Are the Saints going to hire Jon Gruden? Shay Dixon next hour. Sean Salsbury in hour 3. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, college football has a new national champion, and for the first time in 26 years, it is the Maize and Blue, the Michigan Wolverines. Hail to the victors. Here's how it sounded on the Michigan radio call.
JJ takes the snap, flips the ball to Roman Wilson after he takes a knee, and Michigan, the Wolverines, have won a national championship. Wolverine players, Wolverine alums, Michigan fans everywhere, Jim Harbaugh and your staff, your team is the number 1 team in America as the clock ticks down and Michigan completes a 15-0 national championship season.
Boy, it has been a minute since 1997. Of course, the split national champion, but Michigan goes 15-0 and left no doubt. Afterwards, Jim Harbaugh didn't have many words to say with Holly Rowe, but here were some of them.
It's just such a glorious feeling, man. Really don't have any more words than that, you know. Maybe to quote J.J. McCarthy, bet. The game was
the game wasn't the best national championship game that you'd ever want to see, but it played out, I think, a lot like we expected it might. Team at the line of scrimmage, better team at the line of scrimmage ends up winning the football game. But, there's two things specifically that I kind of wanted to touch on. Number one, Michigan was not this was not an all-time national champion. But Michigan was the best team in college football. You're not going to have an all-time national champion every single year. Otherwise, there would be no reason to highlight the 2019 LSU Tigers the way that we do as the greatest team ever, because that would be commonplace instead of an outlier. More often than not, what you get is a team like this Michigan team, which was a very good football team, which was the best football team in the sport this year, and ultimately won the national championship. So congratulations to them for scaling that mountain. One of the things that I have actually really enjoyed as an annual tradition now is as soon as the national championship game goes final, I find Mike Greenberg's video from First Take after LSU beat Clemson the next morning when he made the case for LSU being the greatest, having the greatest season ever. And I say congratulations to whoever the current reigning national champion is. And here's your reminder that 2019 LSU would have beaten you like a drum. And it always goes viral. Last year, it did about 500,000 views, my post. This one right now, just after having been up less than 24 hours, is at 250,000. So it'll continue to go. But it's a great reminder of why 2019 LSU was as special as it was. The other thing, though, that I wanted to touch on from the game is this feeling from a lot of this reaction, I think, from a lot of LSU fans that, well, you see, Michael Penix struggled. That's validation for Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy. No, it's not. And in saying that, you both insult Michael Penix and you cheapen Jaden Daniels. Let me be very clear. Jaden Daniels is validation for Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy. The season he had is why voters elected him as this year's Heisman Trophy winner. He didn't win it by default because someone else wasn't good enough. He won it because he, Jaden Daniels, was the best player in college football. Michael Penix is a magnificent player who had an otherworldly season, leading the Washington Huskies to the national championship game. And by the way, being within a score of the Michigan Wolverines inside of the fourth quarter. They beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game as an underdog. They beat Texas in the Sugar Bowl as an underdog, and then went to Houston and played Michigan with an injured quarterback, an injured running back, and certainly not nearly as talented roster, and was within a score of them, managed to be within a score of them in the fourth quarter. Michael Penix is a magnificent football player who had a great season and was worthy of being a Heisman Trophy finalist. The right guy won it, and that had nothing to do with the performance last night, by the way. Last night was an illustration of Michael Penix and the Washington Huskies going up against the best defense in college football. And when we sat here yesterday, we talked about this being a line of scrimmage game. And ultimately, Washington ran the ball for 40 yards in that football game, y'all. 40 yards. Michael Penix was bruised and beaten and battered. He very clearly had injured ribs. And then one of his linemen stepped on him because they were obliterated all night by Michigan's defensive front and injured his foot and his ankle. So he's basically playing on one foot with injured ribs. Yeah, rough night at the office for Michael Penix as a result. He had to throw it 51 times, whereas Washington ran it 20 times for 46 yards. You're playing from behind. You have to throw it. Everybody knows it. And we saw what all transpired. It's not a criticism of Michael Penix. It's a validation that Michigan was the better football team. So don't go degrading Michael Penix's season to try to prop up Jaden Daniels. Jaden's season stands well enough on its own. So Michigan is the national champion. All eyes turn to what's going to happen with Jim Harbaugh. Will he be back? And what does the future hold for him, for Michigan, and for college football as they move into a new 12-team playoff? But Michigan is your national champion. Our Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of LSU, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints as well, and the official beer here of us on AFR. Shared this with you yesterday if you missed it, but the new LSU Women's Basketball National Championship bottles are here. I've got them on set. and hat tip Kim Mulkey. She went and stumped for it for the women to have their own national championship logoed aluminum bottle, and she's got it. They're going to unveil them formally on Thursday at the PMAC at the women's basketball game. They're going to give out these gold koozies as well. If you're watching, you'll see them right here. If you're listening, I can just describe it. But on one side, it's this very beautiful, like, old gold, and it says "Cheers to the Champs" on one side, and the other side has the Bud Light logo and the LSU National Championship, women's National Championship logo, and the same with the purple can. So you'll find them in retailers starting this week. Look for them, ask for them. The Bud Light LSU women's basketball National Championship aluminum bottles are out and available starting this week. Drink easy with a great taste of Bud Light. So Michigan wins the national championship. You know what, Muse? As I recall, we all had I think we all had Michigan in the game, didn't we? Right? Muse,
that's how I remember. Yeah.
Let me hear this. This was you. I was pretty sure, Muse, that you nailed it.
Of course.
Here was Muse yesterday on the show.
I like Washington. I like what their offensive line was able to do against a very good Texas front, where they only allowed 3 tackles for loss and didn't allow a sack on Michael Penix. I do agree with you that Michigan will move the football. It's just I think Washington has the ability to get it into a shootout, and I don't think Michigan's going to be able to keep up.
Shootout, and Michigan can't keep up. Oh, Muse, I remembered it incorrectly. My mistake. You were dead wrong. Maybe was it Paulie that got it right? Paulie was. I can't play Paul from yesterday. I can't remember if Paulie got it right.
I'm going to go Washington as well.
Oh. I like it, Paulie.
Woo, look at that.
Of the 2 quarterbacks, I trust Penix a whole lot more than J.J. McCarthy.
Oh, man. So, Paulie, you weren't right either. Oh, I know what it was, Muse. I remember now. It was Ott.
He's been on heater.
That's who it was. It was Ott who got it right because, man, he was just crushing it during bowl season. When you're hot, you're Ott.
There you go.
He has been so good of late. It was probably Jimmy who got it right. Let me refresh my memory here.
He has his team, his quarterback, his offense, dictating how they play when they have the football. And that's why I'm going with Washington, plus 5.5.
Man. You went with Washington?
That's what the tape said, yeah.
Paulie went with Washington.
Yeah.
Otter went with Washington?
He did.
Muse, I don't remember what I did. Do you have that audio? What did I pick for the game? And it is really hard to go against Michael Penix and Kalen DeBoer when they've been undefeated. But
can't do it.
Jim Harbaugh has been a longer tenured, better football coach than Kalen DeBoer. I think Michigan at the line of scrimmage is too good. They play bully ball. They play their style, and I do like Michigan to win this game. Not only to win, but to win and cover. Oh, Muse. It was me.
Oh.
I was the one that picked Michigan to win and cover.
Not all of us?
Oh, well, it didn't sound that way unless I misinterpreted the tape.
Could have. Didn't, but could have.
When Michigan scored on that first drive without throwing a pass, I texted Muse and I said, "Line of scrimmage, bro." To which Muse, I want to read your reply.
I don't even remember what I said. What did I say?
It was something to the effect of,
"Oh, I said now they have to stop Penix,"
which was the real question all along.
Well, it kind of was the real question. They just
no, it wasn't. The real question all along was if Michigan. It was if Washington would be able to stop Michigan from running for 300 yards, because that's what Michigan did all season. Yeah. Here it was. I said Michigan LOS with a shrug emoji, and then Muse replied, "Now they have to go stop Penix," which was always the bigger challenge.
It was always Penix.
And then I sent you the Jim Gaffigan yawning emoji.
He's good. I like Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah, I did that one. So.
But no, I mean, look, man. I mean, and for a moment, it looked like Washington was going to go down there and just immediately punch it in for 7. It's like, oh, we're going to get a great game. Nope.
That was not a great game.
No, it wasn't. It was real bad, actually. Well,
but you know what was great? That your boy had the under, and your boy played Michigan laying the 5.5. Good night for Scone. All right, it's after further review. Powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Let me knock out a quick break. I got to pat myself on the back, Muse, because you know nobody else will. All you jack legs will sure point out when I'm wrong. You're good at that, aren't you?
Very good. They're elite at that, I would say.
Somebody's got to give me some credit when I get something right. All right, it's after further review. Speaking of getting stuff right, you know what we're doing today, Muse? We're pointing at the scoreboard today is what we're doing. Larry Holder's here in 15 minutes, and he's got a debt to pay. And Chad Ochocinco, I'm coming after you, too, today. Get ready for it. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Get to agent225.com, y'all. Agent225.com. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. Agent225.com. You've heard me talk about LPT Realty. Two things in particular. Number one, if you're thinking of selling your home, call Darren James. The move to LPT Realty was significant for a couple of reasons. Number one, the marketing. Number two, the communication. The way they market their properties and the way they communicate is unparalleled. That's why the second thing I have to tell you about is they are the fastest growing real estate company literally ever. Darren James with LPT Realty. LPT Realty went from 0 to 6,000 agents in 1 year. That has literally never happened before. Some of the most well-known real estate companies in the world took 7 to 10 years to reach that type of scale. LPT Realty did it in 1 year. Find out why. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I'm rolling along here on this Tuesday edition of AFR. Big shout out to our friends over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Not just farm equipment, of course, but mowers, zero-turn mowers, your gators as well. For all you hunters, you need them, they got them. And Sunshine is your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. SunEquip.com, SunEquip, SunEquip.com. There is a There's a GoFundMe right now from Saints fans trying to raise money to put up a billboard in New Orleans near the Saints facility for 4 weeks to fire Dennis Allen. Why not? You know what? The reality is, for one billboard for 4 weeks, it's like this astronomical cost. It's according to this this article here, WGNO, it's $1,650. So far, they've raised just under $600 for the billboard. I wonder if Gail Benson and Mickey Loomis are going to hear this. Not hear this, like this show, or even see the billboard. Sure they will. I just mean, are they capable of listening? Of course they can hear. But listening. Will the message actually penetrate and saturate? Will they commiserate? Can we emancipate ourselves from Dennis Allen and eviscerate his contract? I thought it was good. No,
you got any more? We're kind of on a roll there. Just have to drop a beat underneath you, and you.
Who do it? You got it?
I'd have to get one.
Oh,
that's why I asked if you had any more.
Well, you can't just say I'm going to throw out a beat. You don't have a beat.
Well, do you want me to be? Actually, you don't want me to be.
No, I don't want you to do that. I think it's so telling when you look around the league, and it's not to say that everybody in the league, the way that they do things is right, but look at Tennessee today. Tennessee fired Mike Vrabel, and Vrabel had a good run in Tennessee. The last 4 seasons, winning records, they've had playoff appearances, and this year it didn't go well for Mike Vrabel and Tennessee. They're trying to move on to a new franchise quarterback. They've drafted quarterbacks each of the last 2 years. That's difficult, right, to go through that type of transition. But, Vrabel is above 500 for his career in Tennessee at 54-45, but he was 6-18 in his final 24 games. And ultimately, they thought that organization was trending in the wrong direction, and maybe they're making a move at quarterback. I don't even know that I necessarily agree, but my point is, there is something to be said for being quick to hire, quick to fire. And the worst thing that you could do is when something reveals itself as not working, continue to push forward with that strategy and approach, because you're just digging yourself deeper. And when you look at the New Orleans Saints right now, look at the Atlanta Falcons. Arthur Smith had back-to-back 7-10 seasons. They missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. They had back-to-back identical 7-10 records, and there was a lot of changes. You changed quarterbacks during that time. You brought in Ryan Nielsen this year. You fixed your defense, but you seem to have missed on Desmond Ridder. But no matter what you did, they didn't show the progress necessary to justify running it back for another year. Arthur Blank very clearly recognized that as a manager, as an operator, that the guy he had wasn't going to get it done. And it's why I think, in part, there's a lot of Saints fans, people who love this organization, that are frustrated, because it is very clear in watching Dennis Allen and how this organization is being run that they have a glass ceiling in place with him as a coach and with Derek Carr as the quarterback, and even prior. This was supposed to be the year you broke through. Dennis Allen's a really good defensive coordinator, right? Your defenses were going to be good. You went and added the franchise quarterback, gave him all these toys and weapons. You had Michael Thomas coming off of injury. I know he got hurt this year. But Chris Olave, second year. Rashid Shaheed taking a big step. You drafted Kendre Miller, who I know was hurt. You brought in Jamal Williams. You brought in Foster Moreau. You had the easiest schedule we've ever seen this organization have. The Saints or the Falcons had the easiest schedule in the NFL this year, and you still missed the playoffs for the third consecutive year. What are you going to run it back for? This is 3 consecutive years now that you've missed the playoffs. You have the oldest roster in the NFL and the least amount of cap space going into next year. Tell me where the hope should be. Tell me where the optimism should reside. I don't see it. There is no evidence to suggest that there's reason for optimism with Dennis Allen and with this organization as it is. And everything they do as they continue down this path is just prolonging the inevitable and making up a bigger mess to clean up. Eventually, before you can start cleaning up the mess, like, you got to stop the bleeding. Like, if your bathtub is overflowing, the first thing you do, you don't go get towels to clean up the water on the floor. You turn off the faucet to stop the water from overflow. What's the first thing you got to do before you can start to clean it up? And it feels like all the Saints are doing is they just keep throwing towels on the ground, and the thing just keeps overflowing. That's where you are as an organization right now. But until you go turn that knob, the water's going to keep flowing out of the faucet. And until you fire Dennis Allen and move on, you're not going to get better. Not to the point where the expectation is with this organization anyway. So I don't think fans putting up a fire Dennis Allen billboard there on Earhart is the thing that's going to get it done. But I think it is an illustration of what a lot of people see. It's that this organization with this leadership isn't going anywhere. Because the path you continue to walk down is proven, like, there isn't light at the end of this tunnel. I mean, you're in that corn maze and you just keep moving toward a dead end, but you're just trying to plow through that dead end. See what they do. But it sure as heck seems like Dennis Allen's coming back, and he said it on Monday that he expects to be back in New Orleans for 2024. All right. It's after further review. We're brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. I'm going to go around the SEC here in just a second. We had awful weather yesterday, of course. High winds, gusts as high as 80 miles an hour in spots. There was hail in Centerville, tons of hail in Centerville, Mississippi. Heard about hail in Lafayette. If you have or think you might have had roof damage as a result of Monday's storms, Hudco Roofing can help. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. That's us. I tell you all the time, I can facilitate for you directly. Matt at HudcoRoofing.com. Email me, Matt at HudcoRoofing.com. Happy to get you into very willing and capable hands with our team over at Hudco. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. Commercial or residential. Remember, we're all over the state. Shout out. I know we got our new audience in Lafayette, Lake Charles, on 103.7 Lafayette and ESPN 104.1 in Lake Charles. We got offices all over the state, so no matter where you are, commercial or residential, we'd love to help. New commercial construction as well, it's Hudco Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. Okay, we'll get to Larry Holder here coming up in the next segment. Real quick, though, we're flipping things. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Ole Miss Rebels.
Ohio State has added a commitment from former Ole Miss running back Quinshon Judkins. The true sophomore who entered the portal this past Friday is headed up to Columbus. Old C-Bus there to join the Buckeyes. Ohio State's leading rusher Travion Henderson has yet to announce if he plans to leave for the draft. We've already seen running back Chip Trayanum leaving Ohio State for Kentucky.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Veteran defensive coordinator Kevin Steele, who just finished his third stint at Alabama under Nick Saban, plans to retire from coaching. They actually dropped this news right at kickoff of the national championship game. Steele turned 66 in March, just finished his 40th season in coaching. Spent the 2022 season as Miami's defensive coordinator before returning to Alabama in 2023. He's had stints as a defensive coordinator at 5 different schools: Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, LSU, and Miami.
The Auburn Tigers.
And Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze will take over play calling duties in 2024. Freeze called his own plays at Arkansas State, Ole Miss, and Liberty, but hired Philip Montgomery from Tulsa to be his offensive coordinator and play caller at Auburn. But after just 1 year where they struggled so mightily, Freeze has fired Philip Montgomery and will take over play calling duties. With Freeze taking over the play calling duties, the plan now is to move Kent Austin to quarterbacks coach after he served in a quality control role in 2023. And on the hardwood tonight in the SEC, 4 games. Missouri is at 6th-ranked Kentucky. Alabama hosts South Carolina. Number 16 Auburn, they're at home against Texas A&M. And your Fighting Tigers of LSU with the nightcap on the SEC Network will host Vanderbilt. All right, there you have it. That is around the SEC. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, Year 3 of the Kyle Trash era is over. And it's time Larry Holder pay up. We'll find out if he will, or if he's going to run crying like that yellow-bellied loser Dwayne from Thibodeau. It's AFR.
AFR.
Okay, y'all, Thursday. Thursday is a big day. Thursday, our friends over at Rouses will have the ribbon cutting on the newest Rouses location right there on Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge, and we're excited to be out there. The ribbon cutting is at 8 a.m. Rouses there on Florida. And remember, it's going to be a ton of fun. They're going to have some great giveaways as well. The first 100 customers are going to receive a mystery gift card, free grocery items, and a reusable bag. So make plans this Thursday to get by Rouses, the newest Rouses location on Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Again, the first 100 customers will get a mystery Rouses gift card, so you don't know the amount of it. It's going to be a lot of fun. There'll be great giveaways all throughout the day. We'll be out there for AFR. We'll look forward to seeing you there as well this Thursday for the grand opening of the Rouses Market on Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Rouses, this feels like home.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Yeah, they say Taylor Swift sings Cruel Summer. I say no, she doesn't. Ace of Base sings Cruel Summer. And when you hear Ace of Base, you know it's time to welcome aboard Uncle Larry. Larry Holder's back. How are you, man?
I am good.
Where's my whiskey?
should I go on like a 45-minute diatribe like Aaron Rodgers did today and never get to like the point of what people want to hear to I'm just going to cut to the chase. I won't do that. I lost.
Okay, we finally have an admission from Larry Holder. Thank God. It's about time. We need to update the drops as well. We can't just have like the ding, 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 and a bell. We got to do. We'll elaborate anyway. But yes, I am devastated that it took you this long to acknowledge defeat, Larry, because as your words very clearly stated, that Kyle Trask had to be a starter by year 3. Well, we are now at the end of year 3. And maybe that's semantics, but nonetheless, you lost long ago. Glad we finally arrived at this destination.
Well, as it turned out, now that we look back, yes, I did lose long ago. But the way Baker Mayfield has played the last 2 games, he played so bad, you might as well put Kyle Trask in, and he could have pulled out the victory for me in the last second. But
it wouldn't have mattered.
It did not happen, and even though you got 2 terrible performances by Tampa, they went 1-1, kept the Saints out of the playoffs, and that's the way it's going to be. I lost, and they're in. And the Saints are out.
Will you also acknowledge that I am a superior sports talker and opinion maker than you? And
0.0%. That was not part of the bet. No way, no chance, no how, nada.
Well, I mean, it kind of feels like that's a given anyway at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
I'm not going to say why that is, because then you will go on a 45-minute diatribe, and it is your show, and you can cut me off at any point, so that's not exactly even ground to play on.
Welcome to my house, Larry. You lose, I win. I'm the victor. You're not. I'm better than you. Better looking as well. My child is more polite than your little heathens who yell at adult humans that they're losers and throw up the L on their forehead. How about that, Larry?
You're a loser, Matt!
At least I've got that. At least I've got that.
I don't know that people know that. So that is the "You're a Loser, Matt" is a video of which son is that who screamed "You're a loser, Matt"?
Oh man, it's my older son Brady, and this goes back to when you guys were probably just starting on CST and encouraging people to send in video. And man, that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's maybe. A long time.
His voice is a little deeper now as he's approaching teenagerdom. He's 12 and a half, so his voice is a little deeper these days.
I don't want a redo on it though, Larry. I want little kid Brady's voice on that drop forever. I don't want grown.
I do too.
It's way funnier. By the way, is he aware that we use that?
Oh, absolutely. People have told him, other friends of mine who listen to your show, who also alerted me that you were ripping me to shreds on Friday. These same people have no problem telling my kid that they love that drop. And when I tell them, and when people hear who it is, they do find it funny. So it's certainly it lives down here in New Orleans, I can tell you.
I love it. It's a great drop. All right, so now that you've acknowledged and admitted defeat, Kyle Trask never became a starting quarterback in 3 years. I win. I'm better than you at everything. You owe me whiskey. So what are you going to buy me?
That was a left up to me decision. So
I don't think it was.
Just give me. Yeah, oh yes, it was. We definitely never said a brand. We said a price point.
No.
And
I got an idea.
I will stick by that. No. All I will do is you give me a shipping address and you get what you get.
How about I get you in touch with Taylor at Calandro's and he makes sure you get something that I will like?
Or I just, knowing my good friend Matthew, I just figure out, man, I think Matt would really enjoy this.
Oh, don't do that. This got really crappy in a hurry.
It might be a bottle of Fireball cinnamon whiskey and a vat of mayonnaise, and you drink it together.
Nope, there is no Fireball that costs $50.
I get the really super big bottle.
Nope. Still ain't gonna cost you. Still ain't gonna cost you $50.
That's true. It won't.
Still ain't gonna cost you $50.
I could get like a 5-gallon jug, and it'll cost like $48.99 or something.
Larry Holder is our guest. He's on Twitter at Larry Holder. Is with The Athletic. If you're just joining us and wondering what in the world are we talking about, because Larry, since we made that bet, we've welcomed our audience on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. So there's probably a lot of people who have no idea what in the world we're talking about. Some 3 years ago, when Kyle Trask was coming out of the University of Florida, Larry insisted he was going to be great. I said he was not, and we made a whiskey bet then that Kyle Trask, as Larry said, would be a starter in the NFL by year 3.
That's what I said. I didn't insist he would be great. I said he could be a starter by this point. I'm wrong. You're right, and that's as far as we're going. Not better looking, not smarter, none of that. This isn't like what was that Happy Gilmore when he's talking
to Chubbs.
Yes, that's where all that comes from.
Yes, it does. But it's still appropriate here. You were right. I was wrong. You're smart. I'm not. You're very good looking. I'm not very attractive at all. That's basically how this goes.
A gator is involved in that story too. A one-eyed gator is involved in that. So
well, not at that point. Not at that point.
Well, no, but the eyeball certainly led to poor Apollo Creed's demise out
That's
the window.
True.
Just
true.
saying.
Okay, Larry Holder. By the way, should the Saints fire Dennis Allen?
Should they? I would say they're just kind of sitting around for another year, and they will have to. So why? I don't know why that you want to put yourself through this, but it's funny because you see some of the things that happen around the league, like changes were made with offensive coordinators or coaches. You could have easily pointed that Dennis could have done that. Some of those teams, a.k.a. the Bills, a.k.a. the Steelers, made changes. They made the playoffs. Saints stood pat with an easy schedule, missed the playoffs. It's hard to fire for me in these terms to fire a coach in 2 years that totally didn't bomb out. But I know popular opinion is to fire him. So I just feel like that. Here's the thing. I don't think that he's going to make it after year 3. So I probably wouldn't have a major problem if he were gone after year 2.
Do you think any of the firings so far, and there are 6 openings, came as a surprise or were the wrong decision?
I don't know if it was wrong in Tennessee, but they might regret that. I know there was some kind of inner squabblings. They had a new GM, and it wasn't like he hired Mike Vrabel. So I think he's going to be employed again, and it could be successful somewhere. But I didn't like the fact that how they ran their offense, and it finally caught up with them. So I don't think there's any decision where I was like, oh man, that guy shouldn't have been fired. Like Arthur Smith should have been fired, Ron Rivera, and there's so many coaches that have happened already. And I'm waiting to see what happens to Bill Belichick, because we could have the old triangle. Bill Belichick goes to the Falcons, Vrabel goes to the Patriots, and then who knows what happens in Tennessee.
Arthur Smith goes to Tennessee?
No,
that would be your triangle.
That would be a real triangle, right?
But real quick, do you think you mentioned Belichick? The other one that's sort of commonly mentioned is Matt Eberflus. Any word on if Eberflus is safe or if the Bears might move on, having the number 1 overall pick?
No, I think Eberflus is going to be in good shape. That would have happened by now. So I think they're trying to still ponder what they do with that number 1 overall pick. And man, it's like an enviable position to be in, but it's not, because you're definitely, testing your fate on Justin Fields is not the guy anymore. So he goes somewhere else and is really good. And you draft a quarterback and he bombs out in your face. Because I still think Justin Fields can play. Unlike Kyle Trask, I got to get off that bandwagon. He's cost me $50 worth of bourbon. I mean, I guess I got to stop defending that idiot, right? So,
you want to double down?
Yeah. No, double down on what? No, I've lost enough, dude. I need a winnable bet that I can con you in. But no, I think Chicago. I think Chicago. Look, it's a good place to be, but it's definitely a tricky spot. But no, I think Eberflus is safe. That defense became one of the better defenses in the last quarter of the year. I mean, and that's his specialty. So I think they're kind of on the rise. I'd be. It might be one of those. I'm not going to say they're going to be the Lions, but I think they're one of those teams that I think can make the playoffs next year.
Larry Holder, senior NFL writer for The Athletic, on Twitter at Larry Holder. What's the deadline for you to get me my whiskey now? Because if you go over, then I want interest.
Address. Do I need to send it to your house? Do I need to send it to the radio studio? Send me an address, and then I will be
I want a deadline.
The ball.
But I want a deadline.
Deadline.
If I don't get it by a certain deadline, I want interest.
A week and a half. I don't know how long it takes to get wherever it needs to be, but it will be purchased by the end of this week. How about that?
I don't care when you purchase it. I want it.
Well, when it's purchased, it will get mailed.
Okay. If it's not here by next Friday, that gives you a week and a half. If it's not here by next Friday, then I get 2 bottles. And every subsequent week is another bottle.
No.
Yes.
You don't have you don't have any muscle that's good. Who's going to chase me down? The Muse? Come on.
I'll break your thumbs.
Well, I only need those for the space bar on my laptop, so I guess I'll just...
That is Larry Holder, he who is subservient to me in literally everything. Thank you, and send me my whiskey.
You won 1 bet. Congratulations. Good job.
See you later. That's Larry Holder on Twitter at Larry Holder. This is After Further Review, brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. They do it all over at Relief Windows, and they do it better than everyone else. And remember, at Relief Windows now, they do shutters, indoor shutters. So if you're going to get custom windows, why would you get custom shutters as well? Over at Relief Windows, they do it all. Listen, it's the new year. Maybe you've got some honeydews, a to-do list here in 2024 around the house. Let Relief Windows help. New windows, doors, siding, shutters, they do it all. It's Relief Windows, and you will always get, remember, incredible customer service at Relief Windows, where they will never take $1 from you until they're finished and you are thrilled with the work they've done. That is Relief Windows. Windows, door, siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, y'all, it's After Further Review. Shay Dixon in 13 minutes. Of course, Bryce Underwood committed to LSU over the weekend, the #1 player in the country for 2025. Talked about that yesterday. We'll get Shay's reaction, and I want Shay to answer the question that a lot of you have asked. Okay, LSU's got this great class committed, so how do they keep it together? We'll get to that with Shay here in about 13 minutes from right now. John Brady next hour as well. LSU basketball Tigers back on the floor today. Sean Salsbury in hour 3. We've got a ton to do, and glad you're hanging out with us here on a Tuesday edition of AFR.
AFR.
Since 1982, Action Industries has been servicing our state. More importantly, the petrochemical and refinery markets in our state. Look, you live in Louisiana, you go up and down the river, you see those dozens of plants, and you know what they mean to our state's economy. Well, Action Industries has been doing great work for those plants since 1982, 41 years. Listen, at Action Industries, they know this much. Number one, you can't even get into one of those plants without a stellar safety record. And in Action Industries, their safety record is above the industry average. They've actually won national awards for their safety. That's number one. Number two, you don't keep recurrent clients if you don't do quality work. And that's why Action Industries has been around for 41 years. Learn more. ActionIndinc.com for Action Industries.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time to slip away. Some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep in inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Everyone knows that yellow and green. Watch them run smart, run fast, run lean. Helping us live the American.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. Again, Shay Dixon after the top of the hour. Do you know the scene in Shawshank where Andy kind of figures out that he was framed or that he didn't do it? He's got the witness, and then he goes to the warden. And he's like, "We can get a retrial. I can open this." The warden gets all pissed off, and then Andy says to the warden, "Like, I'm not going to tell your secret, because he's been helping him steal money all that time."
Yeah, I got you.
And the warden gets like really pissed off at him, throws him in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Saints are about to throw Kai Harley in the hole. Like, the dude that's been helping them fix all their crooked books all these years has been requested for a GM interview with the Carolina Panthers. He's like, he's getting his way out, and Mickey Loomis is about to throw him in the hole.
Okay, you really think they do that? Though, they let everybody.
Well, no,
interview.
not literally. You can't do that. But the point is, if you want to interview for a head coaching job, you have to get permission from the team or a GM position. Like, the Saints would have to grant the Panthers permission. So it's like, do the Saints want to let Kai Harley go interview for the GM job with the Carolina Panthers? You want to let him out? Then you're in trouble.
Solitary.
Don't ever mention that again.
Get out of here, Kai. What are you thinking?
1 month.
It's a week in the hot box.
Of course, I'm kidding. Of course you allow the interview. You can't be the franchise that prevents advancement, right? And the fact that this is a division rival sucks, but you did let Terry Fontenot walk out the building to the Atlanta Falcons. Ryan Nielsen, remember LSU tried to hire Ryan Nielsen, and Saints wouldn't got in the way of that, but they let him go to the Falcons. Maybe if Kai Harley leaves, it forces the Saints to start being fiscally responsible. If you don't have the jailed accountant who was wrongfully convicted of killing his wife and her golfer lover. I'm not suggesting that Kai Harley's been unfaithful. That was a Shawshank reference. That's all that was. Or that Kai Harley killed anybody. I'm not saying that at all. It's just a Shawshank reference. And Andy Dufresne didn't kill anybody, as we learned. I don't feel like I needed to clarify that, but just for the sake of people who haven't seen Shawshank. Anyway, my one condition here is if you're the Saints, you better make sure that you know he's not your future. Because if you feel Kai Harley could be your future GM, then you got to keep him. Because you watched Dan Campbell walk out the building. You kept the wrong guy. You kept Dennis Allen. You watched Dan Campbell walk out the building. Saints have let other guys leave. I just mentioned Terry Fontenot who left. Joe Lombardi left. Remember back in the day, Aaron Cromer, who was a hot young name who left and became a head coach. Ryan Pace went to be a GM with the Bears. You've let guys leave. But the one that got away is Dan Campbell. Clearly, you had the guy in your organization, and you let him leave, and you screwed up. If you're thinking you're near the end with Mickey Loomis, you better be sure that Kai Harley isn't the guy. Because if he is, you better hang on to him and kick Loomis to the curb and promote this guy. Otherwise, before you know it, they're going to be knocking on your door at Shawshank. And Kai Harley's going to be on a beach. And what was the town in Mexico? Blue. Sanding a boat when Red walks up.
That's going to bother me for the rest of the day now.
Now he's going to go walk along that stone wall and look under the tree for the box with the cash in it and the town. And I always wondered how he remembered the town in Mexico. That was a really weird, long name that he just remembered it all those years later. Anyway, you better make sure Kai Harley's not your next GM. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, Shay Dixon, hour number 2 is coming up right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com. ShawbillsTire.com. Name brand tires at wholesale prices. And remember, always, 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 when you go to Shawbills, ask about the Shawbills credit card. They're probably going to tell you about it anyway, but just so you know, when you use the Shawbills credit card, you'll always unlock discounts. The first time you use your Shawbills credit card, you get $50 off your purchase. So, for example, let's say you go to get an oil change, and if the oil change is $50, well, you use your Shawbills credit card, they're just going to charge you $1 to basically to run the car. It's essentially like a free oil change the first time you use it. Anyway, it's at Shawbills with locations all over South Louisiana, started in Morgan City, up to Baton Rouge. Of course, in Denham Springs, you got your own Shawbills, West Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Youngsville. They got you covered at Shawbills. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they keep you coming back year after year after year after year after year because they treat you like family, because they are family-owned and operated. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. There is now a 6th NFL head coaching vacancy. The Titans fired Mike Vrabel. After arriving in 2018, Vrabel, the 2021 NFL Coach of the Year, led Tennessee to 4 straight losing seasons, but each of the last 2 finished under 500 when a combined 1-8 in the AFC South in that span. ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday.
I think from Tennessee's perspective, they see everybody in the division getting better, young quarterback, and you're not. Whether that can be attributed to Braves or not, there's not enough blame to go around, I guess.
Jeff Saturday on Carlin versus Joe. Steelers star linebacker T.J. Watt ruled out of Sunday's wild-card game against the Bills with a knee injury. Quarterback Mason Rudolph continues to start. Pittsburgh has won 3 straight, with Rudolph getting the call. The Dolphins signed veteran linebackers Justin Houston and Bruce Irvin to their active roster. Outside linebackers certainly a need for Miami with a couple of season-ending injuries. Dolphins at the Chiefs in the AFC wildcard matchup Saturday night. Chargers interviewing offensive coordinator Kellen Moore for their head coaching job. He just finished up his first year as OC in Los Angeles.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, I'll tell you which wild card matchup I'm looking forward to the most and why you should too. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Are the Saints going to hire Jon Gruden? Get to that in 15 minutes. John Brady with us bottom of this hour as the Tigers look to move 2-0 in conference play. Sean Salisbury 1 hour from right now. But right now, welcome aboard Shay Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Good enough to talk some Cruton with us. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing awesome. And weekend for LSU, getting the expected but still exciting commitment from Bryce Underwood. Did it go about as expected, Shay?
It did, and it was, I don't know if you'd call it surprising, obviously, because they were considered to be the team to beat, but at the same time, you sweat a commitment and a recruitment like that one all the way until the end, and then all the way till he signs, but that's still a year away. Let's enjoy the fruits of the staff's labor here and Underwood's interest. To put it into perspective, I mean, yes, this is a five-star quarterback. This is the number 1 quarterback in the country, but also the number 1 overall prospect. And really, there's a field that Charles Power, On 3 National Director of Scouting and Rankings, and he's done this for a long time, he said over the past decade, first, he would say that anybody who's in high school right now, including seniors, and Bryce is a junior, he's the best quarterback, best pure passer, big size, he can run it, do whatever you need him to do. But just his mechanics and his arm and everything that he does with the ball is so advanced for a kid his age. So he is the best quarterback in high school. But then he would put him up there, and the ratings agree with it, as one of the best quarterbacks of the past decade plus, which would include guys like Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields was in that mix. And these are guys who went on to be very high draft picks, and teams are banking on Sundays. So this is about as big as it gets. I did a story this week, Matt, of the top 20 over the past 20 years, the top 10 highest rated, so not ranking, just rated players that LSU has signed and where he would fit in. He would be number 3 right now behind Leonard Fournette and Russell Shepard. But given that we still have a year of ranking shuffling to come, he could continue to climb that list. It won't shock me if he ends up being number 1 on the list when everything's said and done.
Shay, the natural feeling from a lot of LSU fans is, oh my goodness, 11 months. How do you keep this class together? How do you keep this class together?
Well, I think the good start is what they've done. I mean, you've got a trio of 5-stars, including Harlem Berry, the number 1 running back in the country, who committed a week ago out of New Orleans, or a few days prior to Bryce Underwood on Thursday, he committed. That gives them the state's number 1 player in Louisiana, but also the number 1 running back out there, number 1 wide receiver, a 5-star out of Texas, and DeCorian Moore is already committed. And then you look at the pieces in Louisiana. It kind of reminds me of the 2011 cycle, Matt, when Frank Wilson, who's on staff now, put together that group, and they called them the Fam, and it was Odell and Jarvis and all those guys. And they all built such a close relationship that when every other school came calling, it was, we're good, we're already bought in, we're tight, this is kind of the group we want to go to college with. And we're seeing that now. I think it's being spearheaded really by Keelan Moses, who is here in Baton Rouge. And for all the sort of hand-wringing and frustration of losing Dylan Moses, his older brother, here we are, fast forward however many years later, and his younger brother, the middle brother, Keelan, is committed to LSU and is really kind of the ringleader of the class. And I think when you build a foundation around Louisiana, that's where guys start to follow suit and don't leave the state. And then, of course, when you've got that kind of talent, plus Underwood and DeCorian Moore from outside the state, others see that and say, I want in. So beyond them having 3 5-stars already committed, and all of them being number 1 at their position, and them having the number 1 class, I look at the guys they've got in state: Keelan Moses at linebacker, Brett Bordelon as an interior offensive lineman, J.D. LaFleur at tight end, Teron Francis coming out of New Orleans at receiver. Each one of those guys is ranked number 1 in Louisiana at their position. So the other guys in Louisiana see, hey, look, everybody's getting on board, and that makes it a little bit easier for LSU staff to say, hey, come on, join them. And then as you continue to carry that momentum, you hold on to that number 1 class.
That's 25, and obviously there's tons of reason for excitement for that. And Shay Dixon's with us, at Shay Dixon on 3 The Bengal Tiger. Shay, are there still, or what names are still on the board possibly to add for the 24 cycle before the February signing date?
There's really just one high school guy. His name's Terry Bussey. He's coming out of Texas, and he's an athlete who the who's who are after. He's committed to A&M and has been committed to A&M since September, I believe, is when he shut things down. But LSU's sort of always been on his list of top teams, and he did not sign in the early period because of A&M's coaching shuffle. And he said, hey, look, I want to see what happens at both A&M and other schools. So he's still giving LSU a look. They are all over him. And, I mean, I will note they have flipped 4 A&M commitments into their class, including 2 big-time D linemen in Gabe Relaford and Don McKinley from Louisiana. But then most recently, or I guess recently with the guys who have signed, they flipped Cohen Eccles on the early signing period, who is one of the top interior offensive linemen in America. So they've done a really good job of going after A&M's class, obviously capping it off like with a guy like Terry Bussey, a 5-star and number 1 athlete in America. That takes it to another level. We'll see if they can pull it off. But that's the one name they're still in the hunt for, and they've got a puncher's chance here. If he wanted to go to A&M and was dead set on it, he would have signed in December, and he didn't. So he's at least leaving that kind of door or the window cracked for other teams.
Shay, I probably oh, by the way, before we get to the February signing date, I know there's always guys take official visits in January. Is it just Terry Bussey, or is there more on the January recruiting calendar before we get to that February signing date?
Well, Don McKinley has flipped from A&M, but he did it after the early signing period. So he'll sign in February and make it official, and he still has his LSU official visit. But Terry Bussey already used his. He'll just come on an unofficial visit. So really it's kind of cleaning up like a guy like McKinley where you can still have him in for a visit, going after a guy like Bussey. But then it will shift to 2025 recruiting and then obviously the portal.
I'll come back to the portal, but one more. And this may actually fall in line with the conversation about Bryce Underwood, but obviously there's coaching staff changes. LSU hasn't even hired an OC yet, Shay, and we still don't know who a lot of the position coaches are going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Clearly that didn't, the no OC didn't impact Underwood. So I guess two-part. Number one, why? And then what's been the reaction to the defensive staff changes that you've heard ear to ground in recruiting circles?
Yeah, look, the biggest thing I think you look at with Underwood is that his main recruiter is Joe Sloan, who is still on staff and is certainly in the mix for becoming the offensive coordinator. He was the co-offensive coordinator in the bowl game. They played very well. It gives you some continuity with Nussmeier, and he's a year out from having to sign. So a guy like that isn't in any real rush to say, hey, I'm not going there because I don't know who the OC is. His relationship was with Sloan and some others on staff, and if Sloan is on staff still and Bryce Underwood gets here, then I feel pretty good about Bryce Underwood coming. So that's how I would sum up that one. On the other side, and look, we saw players get vocal about some of the changes, both good and bad, but when they made the lone hire they've announced, which is Blake Baker, you saw a number of current commitments come out. Xavier Atkins, the linebacker, others who said, hey, look, he was my first offer. Xavier Atkins, who's from Louisiana and committed to LSU and signed with him, he flipped from Missouri. He was Blake Baker's one of his big linebacker commitments. And then Harold Perkins reacting of, hey, look, this is a guy that recruited me out of high school that I loved, whenever he was on me at LSU during his 1 year there a couple of years back when Harold, right before he signed. So there's promise with the current roster. I think, Matt, for me, one thing that really stood out and speaks to kind of how Blake Baker is someone who the whole team will gravitate towards on defense is he was here 1 year and he was a linebackers coach. But I went on Twitter and looked, and Jay Ward, Andre Anthony, guys who didn't play linebacker, that played D-line or corner, were quote tweeting the announcement and saying, this is the hire, great hire, this is my guy. So everyone sort of liked him when he was just linebackers coach. Now that he's calling an entire defense, I think we'll see a lot more kind of backing from current and former players. And, that matters certainly with the current guys, but I'll also say that, and there's no right or wrong to this, everyone does it differently, and that's fine. It's just how you structure your staff. But Aranda, House, Chavis, a lot of these D coordinators, and they aren't the only ones. I could point to a million schools. They're paid to focus on football. That's it. They just game plan. They leave recruiting to everyone else. Blake Baker's a younger guy who probably takes as much pride in what happens on Saturdays with his game plan as he does in recruiting. So you're going to have a D coordinator who's very active in recruiting, which is something that a lot of people wanted.
It's a great point. Before you go, you mentioned the portal as well. Jair Brown, we had him on the show yesterday. Anything else to keep an eye on with respect to the portal, Shay?
Yeah, it's closed now, obviously, but that doesn't mean the action. The kids who are in it can commit at any point they want, and then the grad students or transfers, they don't have to abide by any portal windows. So we could still see some activity, I think, and which is wild to say because 2 years ago we're talking about 38 scholarship players. They're balancing that 85-man scholarship limit right now, and that means, and we've heard it from the start from Kelly, they want to sign 25 to 30 high school guys and then keep the portal additions to single digits. Well, they're at 4 right now. I'd expect them to go higher than that. They'll get to 5, 6, 7. But there's another portal window in May. We see some guys leave the team then, and then they add some others. I think all those things are in place. So I know a lot of LSU fans are like, where's all of our portal additions? Where's the portal additions? Well, that's what you were doing the first 2 years when you had so many roster spaces that it was like, we'll take anybody. Now it's one of those things where you're focused on retention of your current team, having guys not re-enroll for the NFL that shouldn't be, and putting together high school classes to the point where, Matt, you feel like, oh, look, we're developing again. We're recruiting and developing and not just taking quick fixes. So there'll be more portal additions, but nothing like what they did the past 2 years, and that was never the expectation.
He is Shay Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger, on Twitter at Shay Dixon. Always appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Matt.
Our pleasure. Shay Dixon, it's AFR, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020. Set up that consultation. If your New Year's resolution is to be able to see 2020, to throw away those contacts and glasses forever, do what I did. I'm not sending you to someone I wouldn't go to. I literally sat in that chair, and Dr. Blake Williamson performed my LASIK procedure, and I could not be more thrilled. It's one of those things that if you wear contacts or glasses, you have heard people your whole life say, I love it. LASIK's the best decision I ever made. Best money I ever spent. Wish I had done it years before. I'm in that number as well. I waited till I was 36 to have LASIK. Wish I had done it when I was 26. I could have had another decade worth of not fooling with contacts. And when you think about the price, think about the money you spend year after year after year on contacts and eye doctor appointments and solution and everything. That expense goes away forever when you have LASIK. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's Williamson, EYE.com for the Williamson Eye Center. 15 minutes from right now, we'll talk to Jon Brady. He'll be on the call tonight along with Chris Blair on the LSU Sports Radio Network for LSU and Vanderbilt. Basketball Tigers. Matt McMahon's crew looking to move to 2-0 in conference play. So we'll preview the game with Jon Brady and Sean Salisbury in hour number 3. When we come back, we know Jon Gruden was sort of a consultant with the Saints in training camp. Well, there's a report today from someone we all respect very much that the Saints are apparently looking to add Jon Gruden to the offensive staff. We'll talk about that. We'll do it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance south down. Of course, evenings at Renaissance I've been telling you about. Tonight is the next one, but I hate to tell you, it's sold out. The cocktail experience with Sugarfield Spirits there at Tallulah, it's sold out. So you all did an awesome job gobbling up all the tickets. But the next time I tell you about one, act quickly. That is the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, just near the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins Row. Remember, the Watermark downtown, Baton Rouge's premier hotel destination. This is elegance personified. Baton Rouge's original high-rise building, the Louisiana National Bank building, they have modernized it while maintaining so much of the historical, preserving the historical culture of that building. It is gorgeous. It's like walking into a time capsule. It's the Watermark Hotel in downtown Baton Rouge. Go eat at the Gregory, enjoy a cocktail or a glass of wine at the Watermark Hotel.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
Like John Deere tractors, we'd be happy ever after, strong, true, and tough, and made of steel.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Like a John Deere! What's the name of that song, Muse?
You nailed it. Like a John Deere.
Work with me, Muse. I know. I was just kidding. No, I didn't know that. I just guessed.
See?
I just guessed.
Look at
Yeah,
this
you
guy.
think, come on, look at me. You think
Well,
I'm just
that's why I answered sincerely, Ben. You crap on me a little bit there. Lord. What else is new?
Oh, Muse!
What?
Look what time it is! Celebrate good times, Muse. On the dot, 4:20.
On a Tuesday. It's a
Celebrate,
normal day,
Muse.
man.
Celebrate
I
good times right there.
You know what? In
Paulie
about
watching.
20 seconds, it'll be 4:21.
Hey, hey, Paulie.
Wild stuff.
Be careful. Don't want you to be caught up in smoke over there. You know what I mean? Is Muse reaching into his baggie over there for a snack, maybe a brownie?
He's got something tucked away over there.
I don't know. Maybe it's gummies.
Can't tell what it is.
You never know.
He's got a little something.
It's all right,
there.
Muse. Time for a snack. Go ahead and enjoy yourself. Enjoy that snack, Muse. I got this segment.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. Muse, it's been so long since we did a weed joke.
It really has been a minute.
It's been a while since we did a weed joke. Had to do it. Woo. From John Deere to Jon Gruden. What's that? What was that song? The John Cougar, John something, John Deere. What was that one?
I actually can't think of
John
the name of it, but
316?
yeah, it's by Keith Urban.
How does it go? John 316?
John Cougar, John Deere, John 316.
Got it. Nailed it. See, look at me. This sponsorship with Sunshine is really opening up my country roots.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Your roots? Your country roots?
My country roots? I'm from Louisiana.
That doesn't mean
It's
anything.
the sportsman's paradise.
That's true, but I mean that you don't hunt or fish. We've been over that.
But this is my roots. These are my people. My ancestors did. We've lived here since we came over on the boat.
That reminds me of a song that we're gonna
About ancestors?
No, but about these are your roots and your people. We're gonna hit that one later on in the show.
I'll look forward to that. Because
Right.
You hit something else right now while I do this segment.
I want to be mad, but that was really good. That was really
Can I
well
get a
done.
rip shot, guys? Get a rip shot. Thank you so much.
That was
so
really good.
You just left the door wide.
Yeah, I mean that. Tee it high and let it fly, man.
Bump set spike.
There you go.
Although I think volleyball people don't call it bump set spike.
Yeah.
As I've learned from doing all the segments with Feinswag over the years. Speaking of, where is Feinswag?
He's probably off in another country playing water polo or something.
I haven't heard from him in a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope he's okay. I hope he didn't meet the fate of that octogenarian in the water polo contest a few years ago in Japan. That happened. Like an old man literally died at a water polo contest. The world
championships.
This is not a joke.
Yeah.
It was a World Water Polo Championships. Lee went to Japan to go play, and an old man died.
Lee told that story so nonchalantly too, like, "Oh yeah, the guy died. Pulled him out the pool."
Like
kept
this
going.
is a regular occurrence.
Yeah, this happens.
That's not even a joke. I got emails from people like, "I can't believe you would be so dismissive." I'm like, I wasn't. The man told the story. Okay. Still pretty funny. All right. Rip, though. Rip. Okay. You'll remember back during Saints training camp, it was kind of a big hullabaloo when we found out that Jon Gruden had been working out with, or had been working with the New Orleans Saints, I should say. And it makes sense. Jon Gruden was with the Raiders and worked with Dennis Allen for 3 full seasons, then 5 games into his 4th season. Jeff Duncan shared a story that apparently the New Orleans Saints are considering bringing Jon Gruden back to New Orleans on the offensive staff. A couple of things. He notes that Gruden likely would come on as an assistant coach, not as the offensive coordinator, which leads you to believe they're planning on keeping Pete Carmichael in place. Now, nobody reported that, but it would stand to reason that that's what you're looking at here. Or you could deduce that fairly. And apparently when the Saints went down to Tampa for their game in Week 17, several members of the Saints staff, as he put it, went out with Jon Gruden. They met with Gruden while they were in Tampa. Gruden has a home in Tampa. So Gruden was here during training camp. Season goes along. It didn't go great offensively. You're down in Tampa in Week 17. You meet with Gruden. You talk about having him join the staff in 2024, which apparently he's open to, and apparently it would be as an assistant role, but not as the offensive coordinator. I will remind you that this is how Dennis Allen came back to New Orleans. Remember, he was the Saints' secondaries coach, went to Denver as the DC, got the Raiders head coaching job. He was fired, and then Sean Payton brought him back as a defensive assistant, where Rob Ryan was the defensive coordinator. Rob Ryan got fired in 2015. They promoted Allen to interim DC. He got the job full-time and then was in that role till he became the head coach. You all remember that. So is Dennis Allen basically just hiring his eventual replacement? If you follow those breadcrumbs, I mean, that's where this led once before. So I am conflicted on the Gruden thing, but not necessarily for the reason you might think. I know the emails, with the language in the emails, that was offensive and unacceptable and in all of the things. I also believe in second chances, but it's not for me to give. Okay, if the New Orleans Saints vet Jon Gruden and organizationally they determine that it's okay to bring him back and the NFL is okay with it, okay, you take the risk you want to take. Everyone's got skeletons in their closet. Everyone's got bodies that are buried somewhere, and everyone's got baggage. What are you willing to tolerate? What are you willing to shoulder? Mike Tyson is a convicted rapist, but he's kind of beloved now, which is weird, but it's true. So people have done far worse. I'm not into the moral relativity game. I'm just going to say if the Saints are cool with it and the players are cool with it, okay, whatever. I'm trying to focus on this from a football standpoint, which is to say I'm conflicted on this decision, but I understand it because of this. You have invested $100 million guaranteed into Derek Carr, right? You've guaranteed Derek Carr $100 million. And you are financially committed to Derek Carr for at least one more season. It's not until 2025 that the contract outweighs the dead money, where you would actually save money by not having Derek Carr on the roster. So you are committed to Derek Carr for at least another season. So why not try to maximize the return on that investment in Derek Carr? Jon Gruden had Derek Carr for 3 full seasons and then 5 games into 2018. So Carr played his first 4 years, and then we saw Jon Gruden come in. At that point, Gruden's first year in 2018, Carr had a career high in passing yards with over 4,000 yards. First time he cleared 4,000 yards. He cleared 4,000 yards each of the 4 seasons that he was with Gruden, and they improved every single season. His touchdowns went from 19 to 21 to 27, then 23. Interceptions went from 10 to 8 to 9 to 14 the year Gruden got fired. But the point is, those were Derek Carr's most productive years working with Jon Gruden. So if that helps maximize Derek Carr and maximize return on the investment, I get it. You're probably also going to use draft capital on the offense. Maybe it's an offensive lineman to help protect Derek Carr. Maybe it's a tight end to catch passes, a receiver, whatever it may be. But you're probably going to do whatever you need to this offseason to maximize and give Derek Carr the best opportunity for success, because very clearly this organization is committing to him and to Dennis Allen. So you might as well give them the tools they need to be successful. The conflicting part of it is I don't think they're ever going to achieve anything of great success with Derek Carr and Dennis Allen. So you keep pumping resources into this thing that's not going to work. You are just spinning your wheels and wasting resources. That's the difficult part from where I sit, but it's not my decision to make. But if you are going to be committed to Dennis Allen, Derek Carr, you might as well give them the resources they need to be as successful as they can be, and Jon Gruden would fall in line there. But like we mentioned, in 2015, you brought in Dennis Allen as an assistant. Rob Ryan got fired midway through the season, and you promoted Dennis Allen. It feels like we're looking at the same trajectory. You're going to keep Pete Carmichael around. You know, as soon as things go bumpy at the start of next season, you're going to fire Pete Carmichael, and you're going to promote Jon Gruden to the offensive coordinator, who might end up taking Dennis Allen's job eventually. But we shall see how that all might play out. Jon Gruden, according to Jeff Duncan, very seriously being considered being added to the New Orleans Saints staff for 2024. All right, we're brought to you by Lee Michaels. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. That's lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Man, I love telling you about Lee Michaels, because with the Lee Michaels experience, that means when you walk in the door, they're going to offer you a beverage and chocolates on a platter. They can get whatever you want. Maybe there's a custom piece of jewelry. They'll get it. They'll make it for you at Lee Michaels. Remember, at Lee Michaels, they accept returns. If you go to Lee Michaels and buy that diamond for her and she doesn't love it, she's not thrilled, they will accept a return, because they want her to be thrilled with the beautiful, gorgeous, sparkling piece of jewelry and diamond that you give her. That's part of the Lee Michaels experience. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. That's lmfj.com. Buy jewelry that lasts, something that, if you're a woman and you have rings and like you're going to give to your daughter or your granddaughter at some point down the line, it's something that's classic and timeless. That's Lee Michaels. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, LSU basketball got a really impressive win to start conference play on the road at Texas A&M Saturday. But they did the same thing a year ago at home against 9th-ranked Arkansas and then lost 13 in a row. So how do they start stacking wins? We'll ask John Brady next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out, or delivery with 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. It's Pluckers. Hey, as I just mentioned, LSU basketball tonight. Man, if you need a place to watch LSU basketball, get by Pluckers. Tuesday's a great option for a couple reasons. Number one, Tuesday, kids eat free. So adults, parents, buy an entree, your kid eats free. At Pluckers, it's every Tuesday. So family can get out, have a night out, eat affordably, and eat great at Pluckers, either location. Also, every Tuesday at the Nicholson location, it's sports trivia hosted by Hunt Palmer. So remember, sports trivia starts at 8:30. So you've got Vanderbilt and LSU in basketball tonight, 8 o'clock tip. So get on by Pluckers, order some food, have some beers, watch the LSU Vanderbilt game, play some sports trivia, win Pluckers gift cards, spins the prize wheel. It's at Pluckers. 2 locations. Remember, Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bear.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best.
Working those fields till they turn to cash. I'm from where the John Deere run. Combines picking out in the sun. Working in the field.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
An official partner of LSU Athletics. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. You ain't never heard a country song about a tractor other than a John Deere. Sunequip.com. Sunequip.com. Speaking of John Deere to John Brady, who joins us now. Thank you very much. Can I get a rim shot over there for me, maybe? You good? There it is. Former LSU coach, now on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Coach Brady, it's a pleasure. Always appreciate the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you could get me in. I thought you may be having coffee with the Saints coach. I don't know if y'all are.
That invite must have gotten lost in the mail, Coach, as so many have over the years with me to share coffee with coaches. But you know what? That's okay.
You need to tell us how you really feel sometimes.
No,
I
you
get
know what?
worried about you.
Coach, the reality is I become friends with all of you after you're done coaching. That's generally what happens whenever I don't have to criticize the job you do. And by the way, you're great at what you do. So I love talking to you. I've told you that many times.
I appreciate it.
Hey, I mentioned that a year ago LSU won their SEC opener against 9th-ranked Arkansas and then lost 13 in a row. I'm trying not to allow myself to be exposed to optimism. Why might this year be different?
Well, one of the reasons is I think who we're playing tonight is Vanderbilt, who has the only losing record in the league. And if we're going, and this may be the only game early on that we're favored to win. I saw we were like an 8.5-point favorite. So I think that has something to do with it. Plus, I think this team, I think we have a point guard now that has settled this team down. And I got to credit Jalen Cook for stabilizing some offense, and we're taking better care of the ball. Our assist to turnover ratio has been better. The second half of the Texas game and the last 3 games, we're scoring the ball easier. Our field goal stat is up. So we're doing some things offensively to calm down. And I really think Jordan Weaver is playing better because he's got Jalen Cook on his flank. And I think from an offensive standpoint, we're better. And the game plan, Matt, at Texas A&M was spot on. And you know, you can have good game plans, but the players have to carry it out. And you know, A&M was a poor shooting team, and they were leading the country in offensive rebounds, and we beat them on the board. We didn't foul them the second half. They only shot 6 free throws. They shot 16 the first half, which gave them a 2-point lead. But a team like A&M that can't shoot it initially, if you don't give them second shots, you don't foul them and put them on the free throw line, you take care of the ball, you got a chance to win, and that's exactly what LSU did. It was the best game they've played, obviously, to this point of the season.
Coach, I'm obviously not going to X and O basketball with anybody. That's not really what I do. But I watched the game on Saturday, and it is just so abundantly clear how fluid the offense is with Jalen Cook. Just his ability to space the floor, to move the basketball. It just, you can just see it. It works. Like, I gave a very 10,000-foot view of Jalen Cook. Can you give me a more narrow view of why he is so good at that?
Well, I think he's got a good temperament to play the point, and he's kind of like this to me, that what I've found in watching him and watching him during the course of games. You remember the movie 50 First Dates where he can't remember nothing?
Yeah.
If he makes
With
a
Adam
bad
Sandler,
play,
yeah.
he makes a bad play, it doesn't bother him. He just moves on to the next play. He's got that kind of mentality. Nothing upsets him like that. And if he makes a bad play, he'll come back and try to do it better or try to do the same thing, but he's got a competitive nature that's good too. So he's got a way about him, and he'll take a bad shot occasionally, but I'd rather have him out there with the ball deciding what he wants to do with it than somebody else who's not as comfortable with it in his hands.
John Brady's with us. Be on the call tonight for LSU and Vanderbilt. Late tip, 8 o'clock out at the PMAC. You want to get on by and support the Tigers tonight. You mentioned Jordan Wright as well. He's going to be a Baton Rouge guy who came back home. He's going to be going against his former squad tonight. Obviously played his career at Vanderbilt, now back home. What, as best you can tell, Coach, what's that going to be like for Jordan Wright playing against his former squad?
Well, my caution with him is just don't try to do too much. Don't play like there's somebody else you're playing against. Put somebody else's name on the jersey. I don't want him to try to do too much to outdo his teammates or show Vanderbilt, look at me now. You know, I think that can interfere with what he's supposed to do on the floor. So if he can put that aside and not make it personal and keep it about the team and his role on the team and what he needs to do to make the team function at a high level, I think he'll be fine. I like his improvement over the last 4 or 5 games. He's really improved, and I credit Cook being on his flank. I think that's helped him a lot.
John Brady's with us here for a couple more minutes. Speaking of the last 4 or 5 games, I heard Matt McMahon reference this. I believe it was on his radio show, Coach, where he talked about Vanderbilt, which is not. They're 5-9 right now. They lost their conference opener, and you're right. By the way, I looked up at DraftKings. LSU is an 8-point favorite tonight over at DraftKings against Vanderbilt, but. I heard Matt McMahon mention that Vanderbilt has actually been playing better. They lost a close game against Alabama. They did beat Dartmouth. They played a close game against 23rd ranked Memphis on the road. They only lost by 2. Is this one of those games that maybe at this point Vanderbilt might be playing a little better than their record would suggest?
Well, they better be. I mean, if they don't, they're going to get hammered in this league. I mean, But here's the bottom line to me. If you're going to win an SEC game at home, this is the one. I mean, we can talk about Vandy playing better, and they are playing better, but we're playing better as well. And we just beat a team that's picked in the top 3 by everyone in the SEC on the road. My question is, I'm not as concerned about Vanderbilt as I am about how we're going to react coming off our best game of the year, winning a game on the road, and coming back down and doing what we need to do to beat a Vanderbilt team that is a great opportunity for LSU to go 2-0 in the league.
Coach, if they go 2-0 in the league, I know you love the field goal stat, and we talk about it often, but for this game specifically against Vanderbilt, what does LSU need to do? Give me the thing that we're going to look at in the box score and say, yep, they needed to do that to get it done against Vandy tonight.
Well, there's 2 things. I think we need to win the rebounding. We need to beat them on the glass. And we need to get to the free throw line. And I think those 2 things are as important tonight as the field goal stat. Just check it out tomorrow and see how that falls. And if we can win this game tonight, I think you go to Auburn this weekend, you're playing with house money. You just go there and relax and play the best you can and see what happens.
He is John Brady on the LSU Sports Radio Network. You'll hear him and Chris Blair on the call tonight on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Have a great call, Coach. Thanks as always for the time.
Okay, Matt. Thank you.
All right, be well. That is the one and only John Brady. I always appreciate John for a couple of minutes. He's great. I know I say it every year when he comes on the show with us, but he really is a fantastic radio color analyst. It is a tough job to do radio color because of the continuous action. You may only have 3 to 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds max to get in and get out of the way. But in that very short amount of time, you got to get in and make a very concise and valuable point and get out of the way. And to do that quickly is not an easy job, and John's done an awesome job with that. So he and Chris do a great job on the call for basketball. I enjoy listening to those guys. Okay, it's After Further Review, brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. You've heard a lot of people talk about semaglutide. A lot of people's New Year's resolution, lose weight, get in shape. A semaglutide might help, a once-a-week injection that can help you. They've got it at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. It's worth a consultation with Dr. Howell to see if semaglutide might be right for you. They also have hormone replacement therapy. Always recommend. Go get those blood labs drawn. Sit down with Dr. Howell. Let him go over your labs with you and let you know if there's a way that they could safely and affordably supplement you to get you to healthy levels, get you feeling and looking like your better self. It's the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. All right, busy day, man. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. We did give some reaction to Michigan winning the national title. Larry Holder was here in hour one. Yes, he finally owned up, admitted defeat, on bended knee, handed the scepter to your boy. That's right. Owes me whiskey. If he does, by the way, someone tweeted me. They found a gallon. Here it is. Who is this? Shout out to Ray Smith. Larry said he was just going to send me some Fireball. Here's a keg of Fireball. Look at that, Muse. It's a Fireball keg for $103. I don't think Larry's going to splurge for that, though. Like, he's not going to spend $100.
No.
So I don't think that's going to work.
That does mean you could probably find something for $50, Fireball.
Maybe so. Send me a Fireball. I'll be so pissed off if
it's
he
like
sends
paying
me
your
Fireball.
bet in pennies, bro. That's like paying your bet in pennies.
That's what that is. All right, 3 years in the making. He's got a lot of time to collect those pennies. All right, Muse will do Tigers and the Pros and come back to wrap up hour two next. Sean Salisbury in 16 minutes.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys as we turn the page to 2024. Gordon's still doing great work with NIL and the G team, not just LSU football players, but so many athletes across different sports and different universities. Gordon has given great opportunities through NIL to some amazing and worthwhile student athletes and help tell their story through the Grubbin with G series, where sits down with a lot of the different NIL and student athletes and allows them to tell their stories and puts them on a pedestal. It's Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. As we always mention, of course, if you are injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. You can always call Gordon's office at 888-8888, 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. And, of course, we'll always love telling you about Gordon Gives, the charitable arm of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best kept.
These are my people. This is where I come from. We're giving this life everything we've got and then some. It ain't always pretty.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Sometimes I wonder if someone's like driving through Louisiana and listening to us just on a Tuesday. And all they hear is just all of the country songs. I wonder if they think like the only thing people play as bump music on the stations. Well, it's Louisiana. All they do is play country. You ever think that, Muse?
No, I don't think that. I think kind of the opposite, where they're just like, why are they playing country music on a sports talk radio
I think
show?
you would just assume that. Well, it's the South. That's
okay.
I guess, and maybe I think that because I'm a guest on a lot of other people's stations, right? So when you're on hold, you can hear the bump music they play in a rejoin. So what I always get are 2 songs. It's Calling Baton Rouge and Louisiana Saturday
Your
Night.
favorite song. You love that song.
The worst song in the history of mankind.
It's the people hype, Matt.
It's terrible. Your one-eyed dog and your fiddle on the bow and all that whatever. Anyway, sometimes I just wonder. Like, I know if I'm doing an interview, like I did an interview on a Chicago station before the LSU-Alabama game on a Saturday. They were doing like a college football show, and they had me, whatever. And you're not getting country. They're just interesting. That's all. Anyway, I digress. All right, it's after further review. You can text the show, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. See, this is interesting. We were talking about our bet with Uncle Larry. Greg Lehman said, should the bet accommodate for the inflation of whiskey prices since the bet was made? See, I like that. It's been 3 years. If you figure an average rate of inflation of 3% over the course of 3 years, that's 9%. I mean, on a $50 bottle of whiskey, we're talking, nearly $5. We should go to 55.
No.
I think so.
I'm going to actually disagree with you on that. The bet was made when the bet was made, and you go with that.
Overruled. Muso, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, the theme of Tigers in the pros today is kind of updates on injuries and non-updates on injuries that were passed off as updates on injuries. But we'll start with Joe Burrow. That's one that everybody's really interested in. Obviously, look, suffered through the calf injury in training camp this year, then the wrist, ultimately had surgery on that wrist, and it cost him his season. End of the season press conferences, exit meetings with the media, if you will, for players all around the league. Joe Burrow today was asked when he'll be able to start throwing again. Said, quote, we'll have to see, but I think I should be good by OTAs. So there you go. Could be seeing Joe Burrow back on the field, throwing the ball OTAs, and you know he's going to be out for some revenge when he takes to the field again with the Cincinnati Bengals. To the NBA. Couple weeks ago, we gave you an update on Ben Simmons that he was set to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks have come and passed, and, well, the Nets didn't actually follow through with an update on that. But what we can tell you, report from ClutchPoints.com, there is no timetable for return for Ben Simmons. Coach Jacques Vaughn said on Friday that Simmons was recently able to do on-court work with the coaches, but they are going to proceed with extreme caution there. Tari Eason last night missed his 4th straight game with a lower leg injury. His next opportunity to return will be Wednesday against the Bulls. We will see what comes of that. For right now, the Rockets have not provided any update, just that he's been ruled out. NBA action to keep an eye on tonight. The Trailblazers travel to the Knicks. Duop Reith coming off of a double-double in his last outing. Will be back out on the floor for the Blazers. Keep an eye there. And, of course, Naz Reid and the West leading Timberwolves will face the Magic. That's Tigers and the Pros.
AFR is brought to you by First South Farm Credit since 1916. Since 1916, First South Farm Credit. You've seen 2 world wars, the Great Depression, hurricanes, droughts, financial collapses, but since 1916, First South Farm Credit has been the first choice and the first call for land, agriculture, ag equipment, hunting land. You want 20 acres in St. Francisville or 200 acres in Mississippi? Your first call for land needs to be First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. Hour 3, kicking it off with Sean Salsbury right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
As we put a button here on hour number 2, love telling you about our friends over at Pure Restoration. You just change the vowels if you want. They did change their name from Old Zero to Pure Restoration, but they did that to rebrand because they've got an expanded menu of services now at Pure Restoration. If you need demolition and build back, there are licensed contractors, so they can handle that for you. If you go through a storm and you need demolition and build back, Pure Restoration. So it's one call that can handle everything. But really, what I want to hammer home that you always remember is if you have mold or think you might, if you need sanitization services, Pure Restoration. There are hospitals and schools and governmental buildings and office buildings and churches and single-family homes that call Pure Restoration to come in with the patented non-toxic dry fog. It is so easy, it is cost-effective, and it is efficient. Your home, they could spray and be gone in half a day and you're done. It's Pure Restoration. Look them up online, pure-restoration.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Add the Titans to the list of NFL head coaching vacancies. After 6 seasons, they fired Mike Vrabel. The 2021 NFL Coach of the Year led the team to 4 straight winning seasons following his arrival in 2018. Tennessee, though, coming off back-to-back losing seasons. ESPN NFL analyst Andrew Hawkins.
I think it's a dumb move for the Titans to get rid of Mike Vrabel. He is the kind of coach that can motivate a team at any point. He understands what players are going to, but he's also, draws a hard line with players, and players respect him because he keeps it real, and that's a rarity in the NFL.
Andrew Hawkins on Freddie and Harry. The Broncos leaving the door open for quarterback Russell Wilson to return in 2024, but they do say no decision has yet been made on his future. The Steelers have ruled out star outside linebacker T.J. Watt for Sunday's wild card game against the Bills because of a knee injury. Mason Rudolph will start at quarterback a 4th straight game. Dolphins signed veteran linebackers Justin Houston, Bruce Irvin to their active roster. Outside linebacker a need for Miami with a couple of season-ending injuries.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. National champion crowned in college football. Michigan, for the first time since 1997, wins college football's biggest crown. We're waiting on Sean Salsbury to jump aboard with us, but obviously after the game, one of the big stories was about Jim Harbaugh and his future, and he was asked about it. Actually, the way he was kind of asked the question was if he wants to win a Super Bowl. Here you go. Give a listen.
You just mentioned all those accomplishments in the big person's table. Would you want to add winning a Super Bowl to that?
I just want to enjoy this. And I hope you give me that, Can a guy have that? Does it always have to be, what's next? What's the future? Like I said the other day, I hope to have a future.
I really respect the reporter for the manner in which he tried to sneak in that question. A little zinger. Hey, coach. What's your future? You leaving Michigan? You headed to the NFL. Coach, would you want to win a Super Bowl? Let's run a back door, side door through the back alleyway to get through that question. But no doubt Harbaugh will have to answer that, and we'll see what happens as 6 NFL coaches have now been fired. 6 NFL head coaching jobs are open, and we'll see if Jim Harbaugh does, in fact, fill one of those. Every Tuesday, we have the great pleasure to be joined by one of the best, Sean Salsbury, of course, host of the Sean Salsbury Show. Has been one of the best as far as quarterback coaching sports talkers for a couple of decades now, and we're thrilled to have him with us here on the show every single Tuesday during football season. Sean, it's our pleasure, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. Good to be on with you. Thank you.
Of course. Watched the Natty last night. I think maybe the biggest question that I'd like to ask or get your feedback on is what Michigan did so well to limit Michael Penix and those awesome receivers in the championship game.
Now, going in for me, what's crazy about this is my biggest key for the game, Matty, was obviously I think it was obvious that you got to get Penix jersey dirty. I mean, whether that was sacks or pressures. My biggest concern for Washington was the other way around. And I said it on my show all week. I said, nobody's talking about what's Washington's defense going to do against that downhill run game. And in the first quarter, I got my answer, the physicality of Michigan. I just didn't know if Washington could keep up. As far as what Jesse Minter did, their defensive coordinator, they had a completely different approach than they did Alabama. It was like, I've watched Belichick do that for 20 years of you have your staple stuff and you have your personnel, but you change your game plan weekly to match the skill set of the others. Against Alabama, they pressured, they blitzed, they played more zero coverage, which is 4 across, man across. And because they didn't believe Milroe could beat him with his arm on a consistent basis, they were concerned about the feet. And they were in gaps and didn't let him use them to his advantage. So they took that strength away for the most part. And then this one, it flip-flopped. I thought I would have played more zone in this game as well. I don't think they realized that they're against that great offensive line by Washington, they were going to generate that much 4-man pressure. And they mixed it. I thought Jesse Minter, I thought the approach by Minter and Michigan's defense was a brilliant game plan because they did get pressure with 4. They played more zone. They weren't going to let you run wild and give up the home run play in the secondary, and they executed it to perfection and then mixed in some blitzes. They were multiple on that. So Penix never got comfortable. He looked rigid and uncomfortable and was not mechanically sound from start to finish. I thought he was a lot of overstriding. He is a great player. It doesn't diminish what he's done the last 2 years. But the stage at times looked like it was overwhelming. And Michigan's constant pressure, even when it was a clean pocket, he missed throws that he wouldn't normally miss. And that's what a disruption can do. And Minter's approach in more zone, not giving up the home run, make them go the long way, make them grind it out, and kind of go the Michigan way of inside run, mix some passes in, little play action. But they gave up a couple shots, but nothing that broke their back, meaning Michigan secondary. So the way Minter went about his business, the way that Michigan obviously jumped out in front and physically dominated them on their offense. But I thought the game plan was brilliant and the execution, everything that Michigan wanted to do and plan, run the ball, mix in play action, get some movement with McCarthy's feet, and dominate them physically in the interior and on their defense, dominating and not giving up the home run and doing it without having to pressure 5 and 6 guys. If you were to write it up on a Tuesday going into the national championship game the next week, you would have said, here's what we want. And if you execute 3 of them, you'll win. Well, they did everything well. And Washington adjusted to that run game by Michigan in the second, third quarter, but it was too late. And then Michigan's physicality took over. And I'm a big believer in this, Matty. I never take finesse. And I'm a quarterback. I never take finesse over physical, ever. I never do it. I always believe you may get the aberration one time, but the more physical team, as long as the offense of that physical team is not turning it over, you're going to win most of the time. When we crown a Super Bowl champion this year, it's not going to be the Miami Dolphins, just so you understand this, because they are too finesse to roll through all those games and win. Now, I love their offense, but when it gets to nut cutting time and they got to get punched and they got to get punched back in the face, they want to play in space and do it all. I'm a big believer in physicality, and Michigan proved why they were the best team in America, and they put it on Washington. And Penix didn't get comfortable from the get-go, and that was the whole key to beating them. And their defense couldn't stop Michigan's downhill run game.
Sean, I don't know if any of us have any insight, but the Harbaugh situation looms. Do you think? Again, I don't know what he's going to do, but do you think he makes sense and is a better fit in the NFL than he is at Michigan, where he just won a national championship?
What's that? Three playoff appearances in a row, and this one with beat by Georgia, embarrassed by Georgia, beat by TCU, and then takes this one. Yeah, I've always said, and I believe this, Matty, and I was talking about this morning on mine. I believe Jim Harbaugh's an NFL coach that was just able to adjust to college, not the other way around.
Okay.
And he was very good. I've always looked at Jim as an NFL guy, but he's got that quirky, cheesy, young guy mentality that he's willing to, the way he recruits, he's got some, and he's competitive as hell. But he's always been quirky like that. So it enables him to kind of. He's like the dad joke guy. Jim's the guy that would go into Jim's the guy that would go into Dave and Buster's, like with John and the family, and then see some kid on one of those motorcycle games or the car racing game, and hop in and play some kid he didn't know, and try to bury him competitive wise, and then get up and go celebrate with the family. I kick that guy's, that's who Jim is. So it allows him to be quirky, but he's built this culture and sustaining great cultures, and whether it's Saban at Alabama or what Kirby Smart's doing, that's hard to do. And he's starting to do that. He's going to get a lot of money. But I've always looked at him and said, NFL, not college. I was talking to Herb Street about it today, Matty, and I said, why would he? He goes, Sean, I'm with you. I don't know. You're going to get all these great recruits every year. You're going to be now with 12 teams. You're going to be in the playoff 9 out of 10 years or more all the time. But ego comes into it, the ability to want to go do something you haven't done. You got to the Super Bowl but didn't win it. And there's that drive for it. Money's no longer a factor for head coaches either, because college head coaches now make every bit what NFL coaches make. And maybe it's just the competitive. He's got something he wants to accomplish that only 3 guys have, Jimmy Johnson, Pete Carroll, and Barry Switzer, to win a national championship and a Super Bowl. Maybe that's what Jim has in mind. I always think if you're at a top 10 program, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, why would you leave? Well, you can dominate and be in it, but there is still that I got something left to accomplish, which makes these competitors great. The same thing that drives you crazy about them makes them great. But I've always thought he was an NFL guy. It won't shock me if he leaves. And I would think that, and it's not going to stay like this forever, but the name, image, and likeness transfer portal, that grind would force more college guys to want to test the NFL. Jim's already been there, but because that is a grind. But as Herb Street also said today, he goes, Jim has gotten to the point where he's now recruiting. He said, I'm recruiting the parents, not the kid. So because of the coming and going and stuff, he goes, he'd go crazy basically. So I don't know. I think Jim will be successful at either. He'd already proven it in college and had a hell of a record with the 49ers. He's going to entertain all this and listen. And he, hiring Don Yee is a good agent. If it's one of those when he walks into a building, he'll know. It would be hard for me to leave my alma mater where I had success, but I do get it, Matty, the challenge of let me go do something else. I can always go back and coach college football, but it'd be a bummer for Michigan. Yeah. I'd stay, but I'm not Jim Harbaugh. My guess is that he's going to push the envelope because he flirts with it every year. If somebody makes him but go somewhere where you got a quarterback, like the Chargers. Go somewhere where there's a guy where it's not a empty cupboard. You got to go somewhere where there's a guy who can lead you now, because rebuilding that can take a minute. And we see, look at Vrabel already fired, which is, I think, was kind of shocking today. So I think Jim will be successful. I'm about 60-40 him leaving as opposed to staying, but I will not be surprised if he stays.
Okay. Sean Salisbury's with us. Sit tight, Sean. I want to come back and I want to ask you, of the 6 jobs that are open, which is the best? And I want to preview NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. So we'll get to that with Sean Salisbury as we continue. It's a Tuesday edition of AFR. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources. Glow Resources, they are complete employer solutions. I'm going to throw a number out to you. And I know numbers sometimes on radio don't translate well. It's confusing. People don't listen. It's in one ear, out the other. But I'm going to throw out this number with Glow Resources because this number is the thing that really illustrates who Glow Resources is. This number illustrates what Glow Resources does. Glow Resources has thousands of employees, keep in mind, with a 93% retention rate. That is unheard of. Glow Resources, they are complete employer solutions. If you are looking for hiring help, Glow Resources, with thousands of employees, has a 93% retention rate. Let Glow Resources help your business. GlowResources.com. GlowResources.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
Here's to the farmer that plants the fields in the spring, that turn from green to that harvest hunting. Hold one up for the bank.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, continuing along with Sean Salsbury on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. You can catch him weekday mornings on Sports Talk 790 there in Houston. He's pretty much everywhere and has been for 20 years. He's the best. He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered and with us here on Tuesdays. Sean, we talked a little bit about Harbaugh. Of the 6 jobs open, which one do you think is the best NFL job that's open?
Say we got Chargers, Raiders, Carolina, Tennessee. Who am I leaving out, Maddie? Carolina, Tennessee, Chargers, Raiders. Carolina, Tennessee, Chargers, Raiders.
Oh, the Falcons. And the Titans today, yeah.
And, Titans, Carolina, Falcons, Raiders, Chargers.
Oh, Washington, the Commanders with
and Washington.
Ron Rivera.
Thank you. I knew Washington. I think that's a really intriguing job because the new ownership's going to be, they've got money, and I think they're going to be really aggressive in getting who they want. And then I go through, I'm a lifelong Raider fan, location and what they're doing. I love that job just because of Raiders. But for me, it's the talent pool and the quarterback. If you have money to spend, if you have money to spend and assets, that your draft isn't gone for the next 3 years, and you have a quarterback, I start there. I do. I would start there. I think you're Los Angeles, so it's a big media market. Herbert is the best available quarterback of the 6 teams that will be available. They've got, from whoever's a free agent signs, but when you've got Derwin James and Keenan Allen and Bosa, and they're loaded. They've got talent. Matter of fact, it's inexcusable for the way the Chargers have performed the last couple of years. It really is inexcusable for them to be. I know injuries hit everybody, but they just found ways to lose, and a coach to change. I look at the Texans, 3 wins to now 10. A coach that comes in, and it's not just culture; it's accountability. And I don't know where the accountability was there, but the Chargers got to have. They've got to get a guy, and to me, that's the one because I can go and win 10 games with Herbert tomorrow. Mm-hmm. He gives you that start. Now, when we get into who has assets and Washington, look, a great football history. Do you want to get involved with Tepper and trying to build a team that's talk about an empty cupboard in Carolina? I think Tennessee's an intriguing job. They're a bit away, but they can fix that quickly. The overhaul, depending on the New England situation, they don't have a quarterback. Bill may want to find himself a quarterback. The Raiders, I'd be just making that on an emotional. It's Raiders, it's history. But the Chargers, to me, just on the surface, is the best job talent-wise, and they have the best quarterback of the 6 available.
None of those teams obviously will be playing in the playoffs this weekend, but I'd love your thoughts on the AFC and the NFC. And we can start with the NFC. On paper, Sean, the one that just jumps off the page is the Packers at Dallas, what home field is meant for the Cowboys. Is this a year where we legitimately think that Dallas could put it all together and end that long drought and get back to the Super Bowl?
I think there's a chance because the NFC, while for a while it felt so power strong at the top. Philadelphia was 10-1. The Cowboys were staying in it, and Dak's had an MVP caliber season. They look. Dan Quinn always has the defense playing well. It started the 49ers. We know Detroit's elevation. I looked at it and said, man, there's a lot of them. The Dallas Cowboys, obviously. And then we've seen, Philadelphia come back to the pack. The Saints didn't make it. Tampa wins their division. We're trying to figure out how they're going to be. The Packers were up and down throughout and found their way in. I listen, if they lose and it's an embarrassing loss, I'm not sure that coaching job's safe there either right now, Matt. I'm not. If they get out of that first round, I think Mike McCarthy's a good football coach. Do not misunderstand me. But if they go in there and let's say they get beat 31-10, 31-13, I think that they would visit that situation. And honestly, at least depending on who it is. Now, one thing that Jerry's not going to do is hire a guy like Belichick if he comes available because he doesn't want to share that power. He still wants to have that stronghold over that guy that's not Jimmy Johnson or Belichick, in my opinion. But I think this is a year considering Philadelphia. To me, can you handle Detroit at some point in time? But really, you have to think the 49ers and the Cowboys should be the favorites in the NFC, considering I don't think Tampa's ready. I think Green Bay's a year or so away from being a February threat. Detroit, they give you some, and then sometimes you scratch your head, but they've had a hell of a year. Hey, listen, if they get the right call against the Cowboys, the referee, if they don't get cute with that, they're the 1 seed.
Oh,
do you realize
crazy.
They win that
no,
game?
I didn't even think
they
about
are the
that.
They are the 1 seed.
Wow.
They're the ones resting this week, not the 49ers. So we say one play doesn't matter. Well, I'll be damned. It sure does in that situation. So, yeah, it is. They're really good defensively. We know they can run it. CeeDee Lamb's had a big year. And I think Dak Prescott's starting to calm into, okay, I've seen the good and the bad at both ends. But we've said it before at times over the last few years. But listen, We could sit there and grasp at it since mid-'90s, but this is as good a time as any with the way that the NFC is shaped up that the Cowboys can. But I would not rule out if they get beat embarrassingly by the Packers in their building that Mike McCarthy's seat gets warmer, and he may not make it through this cycle if that happens. I don't expect it to happen. I think the defense of the Cowboys will rear its head and end up being the difference in the game and get to love a few times.
On the AFC side, I mean, the most intriguing game on the marquee, Sean, that no one's going to see is Miami at Kansas City because it's on Peacock, so no one's going to be able to watch that game. But your Texans there are pretty fascinating because Browns-Texans ain't a game many people saw in the playoffs this year, especially after the Deshaun Watson injury. But there it is, Saturday at 3:30 Central, Browns-Texans. Is this Texans team one that you think might make some – because, Sean, that game, the winner of that game, I think it gets real interesting next weekend because either one of those teams I think is capable of nipping somebody.
There is no question about it. And you know what's crazy? Between the two teams, they've played 7 quarterbacks this year.
Oh.
You know, Mills has played, Case Keenum's played. We know 4 guys. Flacco was sitting on his couch, probably picking his kid up from school 7-8 weeks ago. And now he's like, I don't like to say this because I don't think players think this way, but that they're on like, that this is house money. I don't think Joe's thinking that. I think he's relaxed, and you're not going to beat him mentally and emotionally because he's been in this league. January Joe has seen this time before, so the poise will be fine. But you can force him. He'll take enough shots and guts to throw it to you. But he's also wise enough to overcome those and doesn't let him affect him. Yeah, I do think the Texans are dangerous. The last time these two teams played, the defense got after Case Keenum and Mills, and remember, Stroud did not play. So whatever game plan you had, you got to toss out. You hope you can execute it the same if you're Cleveland's defense, and they are really good defensively, front 7, and they got good back-end players. But this is a different one now because Stroud's built different. He throws it different. He's got a little bit of movement, enough to buy time, and he's thrown the ball down the field as good as anybody on the planet and as good as anybody in the league this year. That intermediate to long, and they'll be aggressive. If Bobby Slowick is wise, and he is, he'll come out and be aggressive in this, just like Cleveland's going to be. I think this really comes down to short field turnovers and which one of these quarterbacks throws it to the other team. Joe will do that. I love the way he's played. If Watson was healthy, I would not play Watson. I know he's not till next year, but I think Watson would not be playing in this game if he came back with 2 games to go. Flacco's earned the right to start and get this thing going, and he is on fire. But I think they're both dangerous because they both have big playability. They both have some defensive players who can turn from Myles Garrett and here, Jonathan Grenard, if he's healthy, the way Will Anderson's played. And DeMeco Ryans has talk about energy and accountability, has brought that back. But this team rallies around a rookie. He's different, and he can throw it. And the one thing that concerns me about the Texans, they're fortunate they're playing at home, is going through this if they have to go to inclement weather and rely on physicality at the point of attack in the run game. Can they sustain that against good front 7s when maybe the wind's blowing sideways? But Stroud can drive it anywhere. I actually like the Texans at home in this, but they've got to make sure they limit Flacco's monster home runs because he's not afraid to throw a pick. Yeah. But he'll also throw for 350 on you. This is going to be a hell of a game. They got to neutralize Cleveland's front, and they've got to at least give the threat of the run. But it's one of the few teams that I think that you could give the ball to Stroud 40 times, and he can throw you back into it if you're down 2 touchdowns. This kid is, every time I watch him, I learn something new about his game, I didn't realize he could still do that. And he's poised, and he seems to play his best under duress, like against Georgia when they're single elimination games. I love the way he goes about it. And it's a shocking season for the Texans, but they have sustained consistent play, and they haven't let the bad play fester. I like the Texans at home this week. I think it's a 4th quarter field goal game. But if the quarterbacks, if they can run the ball a little bit, I think Stroud can outduel Flacco, even though Flacco's been amazing this year.
That's a great point as well about the weather. The fact that this game is in Houston instead of frigid Cleveland in January, it feels like
there's
it
no
does
doubt.
matter.
No doubt. And those are the games that the Derek Henrys of the world,
yes,
that guy that you say I can lean on, where you can go, and then you got to make 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 throws that matter. Now Stroud, they're going to have to. at some point in time, they're going on the road more than likely to play somewhere they don't want to have to go play in bad weather, I would assume. Hell, I think in Kansas City this week, it's down to -5. So that and then you think Miami going in there? I'm curious about them. Now they got great team speed. Yeah. How are they going to be if the wind's blowing sideways and that? I mean, because they are a finesse offense. They just are, and they're damn good. And Kansas City's defense, I think, is the strength of their team right now. I do. And I'm not sure I trust their offense that much this year, but it is January and they're good at it. But the Texans must, and I don't mean force it to the point where you're 3 and out 5 times, but you got to throw to pass. I think that they can stretch and get some lanes, and Singletary's done a great job with its inside zone scheme stuff of being a patient runner. And they're going to have to do that because if you drop back the whole game, eventually Myles Garrett and those guys will get you, and strip sack turnovers change the game around.
He is Sean Salisbury, always generous with his time and good enough to join us here on Tuesdays. Make sure you hit him on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered, at Sean Unfiltered. We appreciate you, man. Enjoy the football this weekend.
Nope. No problem. Would it be nice to be Harbaugh and say, well, I don't know. Do I want this 16, 15 million? Do I want that? It's a nice situation to be in, brother. We all deserve that. Wouldn't that be great? I appreciate you, man.
Be well. That is Sean Salisbury. It's good work if you can get it, man. The only job better than that is if you're a fired coach. You can get Jimbo money to not work. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. I always talk about the new vehicles, but remember, certified pre-owned as well. You go by South Point Volkswagen, if you're thinking of buying a pre-owned vehicle, at South Point, you're getting a certified pre-owned vehicle. Kerry Manuel, my buddy over there, is the certified pre-owned manager at South Point Volkswagen. So if you're looking for a new or a used vehicle, you can shop the inventory. And again, the used inventory is all makes and models, not just Volkswagen. So if you're curious, you can go check it out online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. They'll have pictures of the actual vehicle that's on the lot over there. So new and certified pre-owned, as we always mention, in Baton Rouge or online at southpointvw.com. They are Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. It's South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, y'all. Otter Locks in about 15 minutes. Jimmy did give us an early play for those who are playing along. It's a 3-team money line parlay that tips at 5:30. So it might have already tipped actually, but Seton Hall, Kentucky, and Alabama coming back at about -154, I believe. But anyway, Seton Hall, Kentucky, and Alabama, a college basketball money line parlay. If you're interested in playing, that's at DraftKings, by the way. So Seton, let me make sure I had that right. It is the 3 teams. It's 3-team money line parlay. Seton Hall, Kentucky, Alabama, 3-team money line parlay. Let's see, it's coming back at -154 at DraftKings. So if you want to play along, Otter Locks, about 15 minutes from right now, we'll get the rest of Jimmy's plays for tonight. But if you want to play that pick, which is tipping off now, get on the DraftKings app and enjoy it. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, the way too early top 25 for college football is out, and the early national championship odds for next year are out. The betting favorite may not surprise anybody, but where the Tigers fall on that list, you might find interesting. We'll get to that next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Segan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every single day to buy local and shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. Flowers and plants and trees and shrubs. When it's cold outside, this is the time to plant trees, actually. So think about what it would be like for trees and bushes if you plant now, and to think you're doing something that will be generational, right? You plant that tree in your backyard on your property somewhere and know that that thing is going to grow not only for your family, but your children, your grandchildren, and for generations to come. It's a pretty cool thing to think of, actually, and Clegg's can help you do that. Get by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations, unmatched inventory over at Clegg's Nursery. They got a great selection. And, of course, they got Johnny Naylor seeds as well. So if you want to plant it from the seed all the way up, it's at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local, and tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee. $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee. And all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
Don't thank the corner store or that early morning rush. Thank a farmer.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
They snap it and take a knee, and that'll be the last snap. Still 22 seconds to go, but the teams are racing across the field. Michigan with jubilation. 8 seconds to go. Michigan has won the college football national championship 34-13 over Washington to complete a perfect 15-0 season.
That was everything, it was just, that last phase line, that last one more game, and we won it. Such a one-track mind for our entire football team. I just love it. That was one of our goals, win the next game. To have completed them all, win the big games, win the Big Ten championship, win the Rose Bowl, win the national championship. It just feels good. You just want to pull it down, It's glorious. It's a glorious feeling.
Michigan, for the first time since 1997, college football's national championship. The call there from Sean McDonough on ESPN Radio. And, of course, Jim Harbaugh in his postgame press conference talking about leading his alma mater to a national championship, their first in 26 years. Muse and I were texting during the game a little bit, and I figured it out. I tweeted this as well, but I figured it out last night while I was watching that game. And I was bullish on Michigan yesterday for all the reasons Sean said, and for, quite honestly, the way that it transpired. They were just a better team at the line of scrimmage. They weren't dynamic offensively. They weren't. You could see it offensively. They weren't very good. But you know what they were? Michigan was 2011 LSU. And what I tweeted and what I texted with Musso was that game last night is the game we should have seen on this day 12 years ago. Of course, January 9th is the day for LSU football fans that will live in infamy when LSU lost to Alabama in the rematch in the Superdome, a game which soiled to what was to that point the greatest season in LSU football history, the sting of which has been eased a bit by, if not altogether erased, by the magnificent run that Joe Burrow and the Tigers put together in 2019, punctuating it with a national championship win on that very field in the Dome against Clemson, who, incidentally, Clemson on this day in 2017 beat Alabama on the Deshaun Watson, Hunter Renfrow touchdown with 1 second left. So what a day January 9th has been on the annals of college football. But I think that game last night is the national championship game that we should have seen at the end of the 2011 season with LSU and Oklahoma State, where you had a team. Michigan was 2011 LSU. They had a dominant, overwhelming defense. They had a big physical offensive line with a strong running game and a quarterback who was at times good enough throwing the football that didn't have to be altogether flashy or dynamic. That's what that Michigan team was. That's what LSU was back in 2011. Oklahoma State that season, you remember, with Brandon Weeden and the great receivers like Justin Blackmon, they were a very flashy offense, and they were very good. But they were finesse, and they were not big up front, and their defense was not very good, but they could outscore people. And I think the game that we saw transpire last night in Houston is very similar to the game we would have likely seen transpire in the Superdome January 9th of 2012, had Oklahoma State rightfully gotten in that championship game against LSU, and Alabama not been given a complete mulligan despite losing on their home field to LSU and not playing in the SEC championship game. But because of things like that, it's why we have continued to see an evolution in college football. We've gone from the BCS to a 4-team playoff, and now we'll go to a 12-team playoff starting next season. And it's only going to be better for college football, for the game we love, for us as fans. We saw the numbers that came out from last night. 25 million people watched that football game between Michigan and Washington. It's the most watched national championship game in the last 4 years. The only game of the playoff bested by number was the overtime game between Washington and Alabama. So even though it wasn't a flashy game, we are seeing transpire what we all wanted to see, which are competitive games that are played on the field and won on the field and not in a hotel ballroom. I don't know, explain that and tell that to Florida State fans who didn't even get to take their cut despite an undefeated regular season. But here we are, at this point where the 14 playoff has, for the last decade, done its job, which was to get us to the next stage. And the next stage is a 12-team playoff, which we'll see next year in college football. Now, as far as that next year college football playoff, how that may go, you may find this interesting. So odds are out for the college football playoff for next year. Of course, we always tip our friends over at DraftKings, who have been great partners of ours. And Georgia is the betting favorite for next year's national championship at plus 220, followed by Alabama at plus 600, Ohio State at plus 700, defending champ. No, forgive me. I'm sorry. Scratch that. That was this year's preseason odds. Forgive me. I was going to make a point about that and circle back. Georgia is the betting favorite for 2025, but it is Georgia followed by, so it's actually not that different. It's actually the exact same. It's literally the exact same order for the first four. It's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and then Texas is fifth, followed by Oregon, Ole Miss, and then LSU. So I find it interesting that LSU has the 8th best odds preseason this year at 15-1 for 2024, I should say. The 8th best odds, despite the fact that you look at like ESPN's way too early college football top 25, and they have LSU number 14 behind schools like Missouri, who they have in the top 10. Incidentally, Missouri, as far as their odds, is 50-1 to win the national championship, which, of course, that's why Blake Baker left Missouri. You can win a national championship at LSU. You can't win a national championship at Missouri. The blue chip ratio remains undefeated as well. Michigan, by the way, there were a little more than a dozen teams. I believe it was 16 teams this year in the blue chip ratio that would have qualified under the blue chip ratio to win the national championship. Michigan was one of them with 54% of their roster made up of 4 and 5 stars. LSU is at 71%, if you were wondering. But if you don't know what the blue chip ratio is, our friend Bud Elliott came up with that ratio several years back, where and retroactively looked at it to where it ultimately what it says is 50% of your roster, 50% or more of your roster has to be made up of 4 and 5 stars. If your roster isn't at least 50% 4 and 5 stars, then you can't win a national championship. And that has held true for the last 20 years now, and held true again today with Michigan at 54%, checking the box for the blue chip ratio. But anyway, when you look to next year, LSU has the 8th best odds to win the national championship, despite what the way too early top 25 would say. And if you're just curious about preseason odds this year, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan had the 4th best odds and ultimately won the national championship. And then LSU this year had the same preseason odds as Michigan did at plus 1,000. So if you're a believer in Garrett Nussmeier, if you're a believer in Blake Baker to fix this defense, you go play some money on the LSU Tigers. But I'm okay with LSU being where they are because they have some very sincere questions that they're going to have to answer. You're replacing Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, as excited as you can be for Garrett Nussmeier, you are still replacing the Heisman Trophy winner. You had a horrendous defense this year. We can assume and hope and expect it to be better, but that still has to manifest. And then look at your schedule. USC and UCLA in the non-conference. You still got to play Bama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Florida, Oklahoma. Your schedule is loaded. So can you navigate that schedule against all the questions you have? That's what we talk about every year. We get to preseason expectations. Who has the fewest questions against the most manageable schedule? LSU does not check that box for me next year. So what people say about LSU in the preseason and what the expectations are for this team, I think is going to be fascinating because I think it's going to feel a lot different than it was this year and even in previous years. All right, it's after further review. We are brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. With more than 30 offices across 11 different states, Michelli Weighing and Measurement. If you're looking for a new job, and not just a job, but if you're looking for a career, Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Check it out online, and you go to the Careers tab right there at the top of the page, and you can apply for a job. You can see all the jobs they have available, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. And if you're a veteran, remember, they're part of the Department of Defense Skill Bridge program, whereby if you're a veteran, maybe you're active duty, or you're already a civilian, they can help you transition to the next part of your life. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Check them out online at Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. All right, it is after further review. We did actually just get some pretty significant news. We'll get to that when we come back. Another LSU player is declared for the draft, and it's a big one. We'll talk about that when we come back and we'll get to Otter Locks. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
All right, rolling along here. Quick reminder about River City's 1 hour air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. And you know that I always love to share all these 5-star Google reviews from River City's 1 hour air. And I love to share it because these are real testimonials from real people who've used River City's 1 hour air just like I have for years. This is a 5-star review that came in from Erline Guidry, who said John, the technician, was polite and professional. Most of all, I liked his honesty. Showed me the new parts and the old parts when he was finished. Send John every time I need service. Well, hat tip to John and all those technicians at River City's 1 hour air who do an amazing job like they've done at my house for years. I tell you all the time, if your heater is acting up, funny smells, noises, or just not working, call River City's 1 hour air. The big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side, they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. They save you time, they save you money, and they do the job right. It's River City's 1 hour air, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. We'll get to Otter Locks here in just one quick second, but as we mentioned going to break, there is some breaking news. Another player has declared for the NFL draft. This one, not surprising, but probably a smidge disappointing. Defensive lineman Mason Smith, via his Instagram, has announced he will forego his remaining eligibility and will declare for the draft. I think that's one we all kind of feared. A guy who came to LSU as a 5-star, the number 1 defensive lineman in the country, and probably always fancied himself as 3 years into the league. And despite not having a career at LSU due to injury and other things that maybe matched what the expectation was coming out of high school, he's still physically an imposing player who will test well at the combine, and someone is going to give him a shot to go play in the NFL. And Blake Baker loses a big piece there on his defensive front for 2024. Okay, let's do it. Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Oh, sorry about the handicap last night. That was just a bad one. Washington was lucky to be in the game as long as they were, but whole line of scrimmage, brother. What's that?
I have great news.
What?
I was all over Michigan in that game. It is
The
seldom.
one thing I got right, I did correlate it. I did say if Michigan under or Washington over.
Yeah. Phil Steele gave the under in the game. And so I played the under early, got it 56.5, and that hit. And then I was not going to be swayed off of Michigan in that game because of the line of scrimmage. So
good for you.
Yeah,
good for you. I got some in it in game. I hate to be that guy,
No
way to prove it, but I mean, when I watch in game, I'm not watching the ball. I'm watching the line of scrimmage, and it took me one drive to. Now, when you do that, when you have Washington plus 5.5, and then in game you have Michigan minus 7.5, you are susceptible to a middle, and I was going to throw up if they went the entire second half without scoring, but. My man McCarthy finally completes the pass to the tight end.
Yeah, that's the one that broke it open. Yeah.
All right, here we go tonight. I gave you a Seton Hall with Kentucky and Alabama.
Coming back minus 154 at DraftKings. It sound about right?
Yes. Kentucky top 5 going into the game at Florida. Top 5. This is unusual for a Calipari team. Top 5 in 3-point percentage. Top 5 in assist to turnover ratio. They had more turnovers than assists, and it shot only 25%, and still won the game somehow in Gainesville. They'll come back home and win comfortably there. Bama's got so much more firepower than South Carolina. Of course, a lot of people know that. I don't expect them to be touched. I do think Seton Hall might be tested a little bit, but Shaheen Holloway's crew has been, they have beaten Providence. They have beaten UConn. They have beaten Marquette. Georgetown ain't close to those teams. So even in a letdown spot, I like them to win that game outright. All right, we got two, number 1 and 2 going on the road tonight. Purdue's going to Nebraska, and Houston's going to Iowa State. I lean on Nebraska plus 7.5, but Purdue with the big guy on the road, man, it's tough on the road. I am fading Houston, though. I'm taking Iowa State plus 2.5 at home against Houston. Houston this is where it's going to be fun for Houston. Much tougher sledding in the Big 12 than it is in the American. So these trips, they're going to have a lot of these. They'll be way more battle-tested.
1 minute remaining.
And they really haven't played a tough schedule to this point. And then I've got Cincinnati against Texas. They miss Chris Beard. Chris Beard's good. It's just in. And they did it. They had a decent season last year without him, but this year it's been rough. Cincinnati -5 at home. They went to BYU. BYU had the number 3 NET in the country. Cincinnati overcame a double-digit and won by double digits in Provo. I think they're going to follow it up tonight with a short line at home against Texas.
Real quick, so Iowa State plus 2.5, Cincinnati -5. Are we touching Purdue, Nebraska, or no?
No.
All right, lay off of that one in the 3-team money line parlay. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
Original walk-on.
All right, walk-ons there on Burbank for Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny. All right, Otter, good luck. Thank you. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right.
That is the one and only Jimmy Ott. Muse, Paulie, appreciate you. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about Traction, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, Traction, where champions are made. Get on by Traction or go to the website, TractionSports.com, especially if your son or daughter is interested in playing spring baseball or softball. Yes, Traction will train athletes of all ages and skill levels. Yes, Traction Elite Physical Therapy can help you get back in the game. If you're a weekend warrior, you're a runner, you're an old water polo player like Lee Feinswag, it doesn't matter. If you just like to play golf and you've got a knee injury and you want to get back on the course, they can help you with Traction Elite Physical Therapy. But remember, for spring softball and baseball leagues, they are registering right now at TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Registration is open. Practice begins January 29th, so go and register your son or daughter now at TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made.
Hey, look what I found! The motivation I needed to live healthier. My new favorite sport. I found my groove.
I found I'm part fish.
My second win when I needed it most.
I found more than a gym.
The affordable childcare this mom needed. Time for myself. We found our why.
Have you found yours?
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.